Welcome to the Kaizorian experience. Over here, we're going to be talking about everything African. We're going to be having debates, discussions, entertainment, as well as learning about business, art, history, and everything in between. Cultural, tribalism, and everything. We're going to be out here debating with some really interesting stuff. So, like the video, share the video, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe for the best experience ever. This is the biggest channel on the Afrosphere. So come and join the team, become a Kaizorian, and join the Kaizorian Empire. Universally exists within myself, within this premise, and I exist within this bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like the bird in the sky. I'ma fly like bird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma throw my bluebird in the sky. I'ma soar like bluebird in the sky. I'ma soar like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fight like bluebird in the sky. I'ma eat like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be bluebird in the sky. I'ma be free, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be free like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Back again like the second coming. Strumming my vocal cords like the hummingbird in the sky. Y'all can't deny this. Real rap lyrics, it's like I ain't got no rhyming through the sky limit. What is skin tone, shade of color, but a parallel form of frequency like a ringtone on your phone. Melanin expression, tied up in the universe, feeling like God. Is this really us? Is it serious? Is it really wrong to be diverse? I'm a divergent, immerse myself like an ocean beneath its waves. Be a divergent, born to be different. Indigo child, wild like canary. Born to be a bluebird in the sky, flying high like a bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. Yeah, bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Everybody scream bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Yeah, bluebird in the sky. Everybody, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bone black, sweet like a berry. Flying high, high like a canary. Scary with my hoodie on. Hating on my vibe on the street that you'll be feeling my frequency in the song. But I know that I ain't never ever gonna be ever the same. But I know. Shalom, shalom, mother loving one. What's good, Dusty? It's been a couple days, being busy out there doing real things in the fake world over there, right? But anyways, today's discussion is CoonFused Black American sister doesn't understand African culture, says that polygamy is a backwards culture and is what created the FBA baby mother culture. Well, one of those things is true, right? It is probably the cultural aspect that did create the FBA baby mama culture. But is it inherently bad? Can you compare polygamy, where a man marries multiple women, takes care of them, and is culturally in a contract that forces him to provide for that family? Is that the same as what's happening in America, where loads of men, Pookies, Ray Rays, and Tyrones are going out there and spreading the seed without taking care of the farm, right? So that's a discussion today. So without further ado, we're going to be analyzing a video from a young girl. I do not own this video. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. But hopefully, you guys enjoy the show. Right, we're gonna begin by analyzing this young lady and see where she's going right, where she's going wrong. We're always fair over here. We do not just slander. That would be low IQ, right? But anyways, let's go. Let's get it.
My channel. So today I want to talk about moral health in Black communities and why whenever you attempt to critique the moral health of Black communities, it's immediately deemed respectability politics. So
first of all, what is respectability politics, right? I remember one time I think I was in some kind of dating app or something, right? And it was some Black woman, and she asked me some questions. Well, what do you think of respectability politics, right? And I think I answered it based on the facts on, pragmatism. I said, well, if I am an African immigrant, I'm not a native to this land, right? I'm talking about UK at this point. So if I'm a visitor, I think it makes sense for me to behave and follow the rules, and until I have enough of a foot in for me to start misbehaving, right? And that's more or less what I said, aka respectability, right? Respect the culture around you, work your best ways in order to be accepted in that society. And that term acceptance, when I say it, I mean a very different things than what some people might mean, right? She was like, I don't necessarily agree with that. So I'm just trying to get a basic background on what it is. So I think basically to everybody else, I think respectability politics is simping for the dominant culture, right? So in America, it will be, I guess, white people and wanting to be accepted by them. If you're in China, I guess, yeah, you're respectful to the Chinese culture and you're not being too loud, right? Over there and causing issues for them. Some people have issues with this, right? I think, anyways, we'll go ahead and see what that is. I think that's a basic underpinning of what respectability politics is.
For a very long time, probably as far back as the 1860s, that's how deep this goes. Black scholars and Black lady alike, Black lay scholars alike, have tried critiquing and drawing attention to a lot of the issues that we see going on in Black communities, like single motherhood rate.
Yeah, so the whole single motherhood, right? I think, I'm going to try to be fair about this, right? It's not just Black American culture, obviously, right? We have this in the UK right now. We talk about second generation Nigerian immigrants coming in and them joining with the Caribbean culture. We talk about Somali second generation, whereby, and what's interesting here, there's a juxtaposition between what happened to the Black Americans and what's happening to some Africans, right? So there's this sort of conversation about, well, Black American culture, what happened is the liberals put in new rules, which meant if there's no father in the household, the household receives more money, rent free, etc. So cheaper rent, more food stamps, etc. Right? More or less more monetary benefits if there's no man in the house. Right now, what's happening in the UK? You have certain communities. I just mentioned one of them, right? Because they're Islamic, right? They can marry up to 4 women in Islamic law, but in British law, you can't be married legally to more than one woman. So this man will have multiple wives in different countries. One will be in Kenya, one will be in America, one will be in the UK, etc. Um, Effectively, the woman is a single mother in the UK, so she receives a bigger house, a little bit more, equivalent of food stamps. They call it benefits, right, in the UK. And what's that happening is, of course, the man is, slowly being less needed. This is already happened in the Black American community. It's happening also in some African communities in the UK. Now, to the extent that this is a reason why single motherhood continued down the line, that's a whole separate conversation. I'm just talking about the facts for the time being. What I'm saying is, unfortunately, this whole single parentness is not just a Black American phenom. It is cross cultural. Actually, started with a postmodernist, right, who stated and said, "There's nothing special about two parents raising children. There's nothing special about a man and woman raising children." Right? These conversations have been happening in the last 20 years in a very critical, let's say, way in sociology classes, right? Now, of course, they're pushing agendas that you don't, and logically speaking, you don't need two parents to raise a child, right? From logic, right? Pure logic. However, something else called culture might contradict the logic, right? Because logic, yeah, you don't need two parents, right? One parent can't raise a child. But when you're dealing with a massive system, society, and culture, why would you go and work at the behest of possibly we don't need it? No, you'd rather go and make it easy, right? Path of least resistance.
Rates, child mortality rates, health, obesity, addiction to things like alcohol, drugs, gambling, financial, basically no financial intelligence or little to no financial intelligence in certain.
Yeah, so stuff like this when it comes to health, lack of financial information, gambling, and debt, all these things tends to happen to disenfranchised communities. Whatever you mean by disenfranchised, right? I'm not declaring fault or even responsibility there. I'm just saying all those illnesses, you can see them in other minority communities, especially the Native American communities. They are heavily, drudged with alcoholism and gambling issues, etc. So those things tend to be in marginalized communities in general. Now, it's kind of interesting that the Hebrew Israelites, the ones that went to Israel in Demona, they actually built a whole community there. They became vegans.
I don't think the vegan part is what makes them have really great health. I think it's the fact that they regulated their health, right? And they removed the obesity and all that kind of stuff. So that's cultural issues. I agree with her. I think there's some genetics there, right? Because different foods work on different people, but that's cultural, and I think it can be solved. The Hebrew Israelites in Demona proved it can be solved.
Lower middle class Black communities. And whenever these issues are brought up in order to critique their cause, it's always put under this sort of umbrella of respectability politics. Why? Why is that when we talk about these issues in Black communities, is it respectability politics? Why is it so bad to say, hey, these things are not good for...
You see, the issue I already disagree with her is she should just be honest. She is a respectability politician. She believes in simping for the dominant culture and getting by through that standard. Right? I think this is one of the issues. It's it's like the terms like coon or Uncle Tom, terms which some people are just coons or Uncle Toms, but because the word has negative consequences in culture, they tend to feel as though it's wrong for them to accept who they are. Right? There's nothing wrong with you if you are a respectability politician. You understand your position. I guess you understand that it's like the whole Israel Palestine situation. Palestinians should understand their position and deal accordingly, right?
our homes and our communities. And that should be common sense. It shouldn't be a respectability politic to say these things. So first, I think it's important to note what is respectability politic. From the way that I understand it, respectability politic is when you attempt to critique the condition of lower middle class Black neighborhoods, middle to lower middle class Black communities, without acknowledging the structural racism and the white supremacy that is the cause for a lot of these issues. And I say a lot of and not all because there are some that structural racism.
Yeah, structural racism, white supremacy is not the cause of any of these things, right? It can be something, and of course, guys, I'll open up the line if you want to come in and argue against me, right? Racism, structural racism, white supremacy, and all that stuff, it's not a cause for anything, right? You could say it has an impact, but it's not the cause for anything. The cause for things that people and their lives, right? The specific lives they lead and the way that they prefer to lead their lives, nothing else, right? I mean, put one in the chat if you think racism is the biggest issue that Black people in America, the UK, or Germany experience, and that's what's stopping them from dominating. It just doesn't make sense, right? It's not a cause for anything. It has implications, right? It's like seasoning on food, right? You're still going to get the nutritions in the food, whether you have seasoning on. I know I'm confusing people using a weird analogy, right? The racism and structural racism, that's like seasoning. Yes, it has impact, right? Flavor is amazing in food, but the actual food and nutrition value, you can't blame racism for obesity, right? You can still eat good food, even if you can't afford seasoning, and still get yourself there until you can afford seasoning. I'm just saying, it's not a cause for anything. Adult supervision says, excuse factory still overproducing. Yep.
Racism and white supremacy have nothing to do with, and that is a hill that I am willing to die on. This is the stance that I feel like I have to take, that it is not respectability politics to call out these issues. Yes, we can say the history of slavery and Jim Crow and structural racism and discrimination from the lowest parts of society all the way up through federal government has impacted and has directly caused a lot of the issues that we saw in Black communities back then and that we still continue to see today to some extent. However, there are things that are caused and perpetuated by Blacks within our own communities, and that is not respectability politics. That is a hard truth. There are some things that are caused by structural racism and the history of structural racism in this country, and then there are some things that structural racism, white supremacy, the history of slavery has nothing to do with, and that is.
So let me give you a analogy, or rather a story that's similar, at least close to home, right? So my mom and my aunt, right? I guess my mom's sister, they have cousins, right? Who still live in the village. Now they try to get these boys into education, some kind of trade, school, in order for them to uplift their lives, right? But because they knew they had parents, or rather cousins, who are abroad, right? Or cousins who are doing well in the big city, etc. They never really sat down and developed their own skills, right? They were paid for, right? Skills, training, all of that stuff, right? And they said no. Also, they knew that their mother was a primary school teacher, and in the area where they are as a village, that's access to money, right? Access to cash flow. So they never, improve themselves, right? What are they gonna do? Blame poverty? No, you can't blame that stuff, right? Because I think generally people find like life is hard, right? Doing stuff in the real world is hard, because you got to be consistent. It's not about doing something today. It's about consistently, waking up every other day or whichever days you decide to wake up and being consistent. That's hard work, right? People don't like that, right? So it's easy when you see other people succeed and you push on these feelings of unfairness or somehow the world was against you from the beginning. That's way, way easier than sitting down and doing the hard work. And I think that's why a lot of people have these issues, like these psychological issues that goes on. Shout out to Tyrone, says systemic structural racism. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the entire universe together. Well, Tyrone, I'd like to hear your thoughts of you later on when I open up the line, right? But I personally, right, don't think that so-called systemic structural racism is the beginning and end of everything. It can't be, right? It simply can't be.
Morality. That is morality. That is the value system within a cultural group. That racism has nothing to do with those things and how we perform those things. Now, one might sort of retort to that. Well, who dictates morality? Whose standard of morality are we living by? We need to have some standard. I don't understand that question. There has to be some kind of standard, because without it, what kind of society are we looking at? There needs to be some standard, because looking at the condition of things in lower middle class Black neighborhoods now, Black communities now, there is no standard. And that's part of why there's so many issues there. That's part of why. It's not the whole reason why, but there's part of why there's so many issues there, like devaluing two-parent households. I don't care, I will die on this hill. They are important. Scholars will back up the importance of two-parent households for kids and for communities. Each household is like its own little society. If all of the members of that little society is not functioning well, and then you take a full neighborhood of a bunch of these little societies that are dysfunctional, that entire community is going to be a mess. And then you take multiple communities like that, where the same conditions are prevalent in all of them, that society is going to be a mess. So each individual household is very important to the sort of interwoven.
Yep, facts. She's right now. She's saying all facts. I'm not hearing anything that I can actually disagree with. Right? She's just mentioning that look, individual families can do really well, right? And even if you have single mother households, some of them can do really well. Right? That's obvious, and that's where I say that there's women logic, right? There's female logic, right? So with female, shout out to Ike, yeah, right. With female logic, right? Um, it's called tactical logic, or what I call tactical TI, right? They're correct. You don't need a two-parent household, right, to succeed, right? You can succeed even if you're born and raised by wolves. It is possible for you to succeed, right? That's not really the issue. But when you are looking at groups, right, you're looking at large groups and everything, of course, the groups that have far more structure and organization are going to do better than you, right? That's why it's good and imperative for us as a Black or African cultures to regroup, recontextualize things, and remove this whole white supremacy, racism nonsense, and just create an elite Black and African sort of mentality, right? So that we can move forward, right? We do have to recreate this thing, right? We can't just be somehow everyone is Black and we're all suffering from racism. No, that's not true. I barely suffered from so-called racism, right? It never hindered me, not even once, right? So clearly, that is a problem that losers face consistently. And I say losers because they lose, right? They don't go very far in life, right? That's why I call them losers.
And workings of the entire community. If one household is a mess, and then the next one is a mess, and the next one is a mess, the whole community is messed up. Then the whole society is messed up. So two-parent households are very important. They're important for the health of the children. They're important for the parents in the situation. They are important for their communities. They're important. And saying that doesn't put one in proximity to whiteness. It doesn't. I don't know why that puts you in proximity to whiteness, or you're trying to sort of win some kind of white approval.
No, it does. Look. It does put you proximity to whiteness if white people have defined themselves, right, culturally as the ones who have those upper class behavioral attributes, right? When I'm in Kenya, do you think if you read well, you speak the correct Kiswahili of English, people are going to tell you, oh, you're trying to act like a Muzungu? No, because Muzungus are not enough here for them to have, colonized being an upper class. No, you go to Nigeria, you think people are going to be like, oh, you're just acting like Oyibo. In fact, it's kind of interesting here, right? And this is something that I found kind of crazy. In Africa, I'm talking about Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, those kinds of countries. If you are the head boy, if you're the head girl, or if you are one of those sort of teacher's pet, that is actually the cool kid, right? Yeah, sure. There's also the cool kid who has access, talks back to the teachers. Why? Because they got money and they score really well in the exams. Cool kid in Africa is either the person that's got money, right, or the person that does well in school and is actually the teacher's pet. But what I notice in these Western countries, it's the opposite. The cool kid is the one who doesn't read correctly, right? Has a reading grade of grade 4 when they're actually 17 years old. That is a cool kid. That's the issue, right? That's the issue.
Approval. This is a common sense thing. Healthy families are good for society. Common sense, not respectability politics. And that is a moral issue that we're seeing within Black communities. Lower middle class Black communities is devaluing healthy family structures and healthy family dynamics. And when you call these things out, it's, well, that's respectability politics. Let's talk about why that is the way that it is. Okay. Even if we do talk about why we see these issues and what's causing them, and let's say if we were to give some sort of solution to these problems, whatever solutions there may be, oh, okay, well, the men are having a hard time finding employment, that's why they turn to the streets. Okay, let's solve that problem. Let's create a program where the men can go and get a low cost of free education so they can then be put into the workforce. Now the responsibility is shifted onto you. You have to actually go and take advantage of said program. If you don't, who is to blame? And that is just the fact of the matter. So even if we were to give all of these solutions to these problems, and I'm looking at them here because I don't want to get sidetracked, even if we were to give solutions to all of these problems, the onus of taking advantage of them would still be on the community that they're being provided to. And we have these.
No. I like everything she was saying until she used blame logic. You don't need to blame anyone. I just don't get this idea of blame, right? Blame is either it's a technical thing, right? It's a legal term, right? Blame should only be a legal term, right? Or it should be not said at all, right? This concept of blame is useless. The only time blame is necessary is when you're dealing with a legal case, right? Legal issues. That's when blame is relevant. When you're dealing with your own personal life, you don't care about blame, right? When you're dealing with your personal life, it's about responsibility. It's all about what you're doing. That's it. Responsibility. So anyone who brings up blame to begin with is already, playing the wrong game, right? You're already on the wrong track when you're thinking about something as useless as blame. No one cares about blame. It's always about responsibility. What can you do to change your life, right? That's it.
Solutions. We have workforce solutions, the federally funded organization that's across the country. I believe it's across the country. It might just be in New York.
Yeah, shout out. Crenshaw Grinder says Black middle class conservative values are misunderstood by a large segment of the population. The idea of respectability politics was created by outsiders. Yeah, Crenshaw Grinder, good point there, right? Because I've been thinking about it, right? The issue is not that because look, respectability politics basically means stop being a blue pill cuck. Stop blaming everything on external factors like slavery or Jim Crow or redlining or all these things and just choosing to move forward from where you are. That's respectability politics, right? Not putting everything off your success to someone else, right? That's what they call respectability politics. I think you guys should just own it and be like, yeah, fine. So what's wrong with respectability politics? They might call you a coon, But you should just be like, well, okay. And then you do well, you go out there, you work hard, you grind, right? Become a Crenshaw grinder. If you're really from Crenshaw, Crenshaw is a pretty bad place, right? But if you're really from there and you grind it and, you at least made something of yourself, that's great news. I just think you guys have to start owning these terms rather than fighting them, right? It's irrelevant. They clearly, calling it respectability politics to try to shame you. It's a shaming tactic.
Could be wrong about that, but Workforce Solutions, and there's other programs like them where you can go and get job skills, job training, and then they even help get you job placement. That is something that is there for low income, lower middle economic class people to go and take.
Now, look, the lady is not a very good thinker, right? She's not really providing a real solution. The issue is not whether there's these programs that someone can join, is whether the kid who grows up in a certain neighborhood has access to go to these programs, has actually got the bus ticket, has actually, if they're not leaving their kids back at home, because there are some actual real challenges, right? So what she's saying, she's not really saying anything, right? We know that these programs exist. That's not really the issue. The issue is the community ready to go there, doing all these like I'm your brother sort of solutions? You go help some dusty boy or kid, you help them, you kind of mentor them a little bit, and then you provide that kind of stuff. Yeah, everybody knows these things exist. That's not really the issue. The issue is, will they take the opportunities, and are you going to help them take the opportunities or not? Or are you going to leave them behind and just focus on the ones who can take the responsibilities? She's not really providing any solutions, right? She's saying the obvious.
Take advantage of, and oftentimes we don't take advantage of it. The women do. That much is very true. The women do. The men often do not. Another moral issue that goes on in our communities: crime.
I've heard this thing, right? I keep hearing these things like, oh, black women take the opportunities more and they do better. Uh, no, they don't, right? Like, let me explain what I mean, right? Black women don't go there and learn skills like plumbing or electrical engineering or something that will, give them valuable sort of intrinsic value in a capitalist society. They don't typically do those things. They tend to do things like sociology, right, or related courses which don't have, or criminology, right, courses that don't have a real market behind it. So they have master's degrees in courses that aren't really courses, right? MBAs, all these what I call irrelevant courses. So yeah, they are taking more opportunities, but also not really in things that matter. That's why if you look at the money, black men still make more money than black women, right? Because if she's saying that black women actually take more opportunities, that should reflect in at least the money. But if you're still making less money than the dusties, clearly you're not really, focusing on the right sort of jobs and opportunities. So that's generally what I see.
Rates, high crime rates. And I'm not, often when we talk about crime rates, we often talk about the petty crime: stealing, robbery. And when we ask, well, why is there so much petty crime in black communities and lower middle class black communities? The retort is, well, because black men can't get jobs, and that's why they turn to the streets. Okay, fine. Why aren't they able to get jobs? Well, they don't have the workplace skills. Why don't they have the workplace skills? Well, they don't have the education. Why don't they have that? Because of structural racism. It's always something. It's always something. But like I said, we can acknowledge that there are things, there are causes, and then there's effects. There are some things that have caused a lot of the conditions that we see in black communities in the past, and still right up to today. There are some things that you cannot blame structural racism for, you cannot blame white supremacy for, you cannot blame the humiliation of slavery for, the past for. And when I say crime in black communities, I am not talking about some petty thief stuff, because that happens all over the world and there's reasons for it all over the world. Here in black communities, the reason for it is often these men are uneducated and cannot get jobs, and thus they turn to petty crime. Let's talk about the other type of crime that is very prevalent in black communities. That is the murder rates. That is the rates of black women who are losing their lives to their husbands and to their boyfriends.
Yeah, I don't really understand what she's trying to do, separating the different kind of types of crime. Uh, I don't know if that's relevant, right? Black people in general in the UK, America, are overrepresented in most different types of crimes, right? And in fact, the crimes that they're underrepresented in is white collar crime, meaning they don't even do the high IQ crime that gives them money and potentially protection from the law. they tend to do more like a dusty sort of crimes. So yeah, making that separation point between petty crime and let's say murder and all that kind of stuff. Apparently, murder of black women somehow that I don't know. It's a different scale, right? I don't know, right? This is probably someone with their own unique perspective. Probably hates black men because black men are dusties. Fair enough. A truck driver earns more. Exactly, Kifaro, exactly. But yeah, guys, the lines are open. You guys can call in to disagree with me and tell me why I'm wrong.
The rate of young black men that are being killed in the streets, and why these young men are turning to the streets because their dad isn't in the home. That takes me back to point number one. We are devaluing two-parent households.
A lot of the times, right? See, if you look at basic psychology, right? Men generally have this weird Oedipus complex, right? Men want to go please their mothers. So what tends to happen is there's a lot of psychological manipulation by their mothers, right? The mothers are probably there phoning their sister or their friend saying there's no food in the fridge, the baby ain't got no formula. So the son keeps hearing this, right? So the son then meets some dusties on the street who tell him, hey, look, if you shop for me on the streets and sell this rock over there or whatever it is that they're selling, you can make this X amount of money. They get caught up in the game. They don't know how to protect themselves to not get caught. And then it's a cycle, right? So a lot of the times, it's actually the single mothers who push their sons to become the man in the house. So yes, that is a single parent issue, specifically single mother issue. But yeah, it's mostly characterized by these moms emotionally manipulating these sons to become criminals over there, so they don't take any responsibility. So most of the time you see these mothers crying, talking about how their son was shot or killed. But they're most of the times, right, from my own interpretation here, is that these moms manipulated these young men. And again, I'm not blaming anyone, I'm just saying the facts, right? Those men also have their own responsibility not to do that and end up in crime and especially get caught.
Egregious crime within black communities. What's the cause of that? What causes black men to go and murder black women at rates that are significantly and drastically higher than any other racial group? Can we blame structural racism for that? A retort to that could be, patriarchy. Society devalues women's lives and blah, blah, blah. It's always.
Oh no. Look, I know she's using that as a marker, but society devalues women's life, really. Okay. Yeah. Right. It's interesting, right? It's interesting. I'm not even gonna comment on that. Not even gonna comment on that.
Some other excuse and some other reason why, except for that person, their low morals, their low principles, they're having no respect for human life. It's always some other reason. And that's a part of the issue that I take with respectability politic. It is not respectability politic to say that that's a problem. And that
I don't even know what she just said there. She takes issue with respectability politics uh, because that's not. I don't even know what she's saying there. I mean, I know, but she didn't really speak properly there for a second, right? It's again, you guys, why are you so afraid of being shamed? Like that's why I don't get it, right? If someone called me a coon because I did well in school, I got a decent job, and I make decent money, and I tell other people to do the same, I would accept that coon title at least in conversation and then move forward. I'm not going to be crying and defending myself that I'm not a coon. It's one of these things, right? These are just shaming tactics. You take you take the title if you want, and then you move on, or you just say I'm not a coon, but whatever, move on, right? This weird thing like obsession with not being labeled something that's anti the culture, right? Yeah, if everyone is a dusty, if being black, right, or part of the black community means you have to think in a victim narrative and to be dusty while at it, and anyone who succeeds apparently is part of the problem, right? White supremacy allowed them to succeed, right? Then I would rather be part of the so-called coon rather than part of that victim narrative. It doesn't suit me any well because they're not giving you solutions. They're not saying, okay, great, there's a structural racism, so let's go out there and build our own businesses. Let's go and make sure that we create this network of people. No, they don't. They're not going to say that. Shout out to Crenshaw Grinder for the $10 over there. The weak-minded have survivors. Right. Yeah, good point. Yeah, so there's survivor's guilt, right? People are worried that if they it's a great point. Right? I don't even have to explain survivor's guilt there, right? But for the people watching, yeah, that's a great point. And shout out to the super chat and sponsoring the show. If you're so weak-minded that you any small thing that people say about you because you left the community to do better, then you just perhaps you shouldn't be there, right? Either you leave or you stay behind and be strong and help those behind you. But all I'm saying is you can't just be out here defending yourself against every sort of statement people are going to say against you. It's no point.
Racism has nothing to do with it. This is an issue with our men. Our men are demoralized. So much so that murder rates are incredibly high in Black communities. Now, on to the issue of hypersexuality and promiscuity. This is another morally bankrupt area in Black communities. Sex, careless sex, sex with multiple partners, sex that results in children by multiple partners. It is not respectability politic to say that that is not good.
Why is she so against being labeled respectability politics? In fact, I am going to have to go and share my screen to see if we can find an actual definition of this respectability politics. Right? If it's she's just afraid of being called a coon, that shows that she's a little bit weak. Because I'm trying to explain it, right? I'm trying to figure out why she's so obsessed with not appearing as if she's part of the respectability politics, right? Because I just don't get it. It's like she should have just said it once in the beginning and then just left it and just moved on, made her points. But I keep hearing this defensive attitude against respectability politics. I'm going to search it. Respectability politics. Let's see. Shout out to Mr. Dwale over there with the €2. Kaizo, hi, Dusty Africans buy Ugali. The bros. Thank you very much for the Ugali, brother. I do appreciate the support over there. But yeah, guys, the line is open. If you want to add in, you can come in or take away whichever one it is that you want, right? But I'm just kind of here trying to understand what this respectability politics is, why everyone is so afraid of being labeled it, right? Okay, I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay, let's go Wikipedia, my favorite place to learn respectability politics, or the politics of respectability. It's a political strategy wherein members of a marginalized community, right, will consciously abandon or punish controversial aspects of their cultural political identity as a method of assimilating. Okay, achieving social mobility and gaining the respect of the majority culture. So let me ask you guys a question. So what's wrong with that? Like I'm really trying to find the bad things, right? Now, if you're gonna completely coon and be like hating your culture, hating your people, and be like, "Oh, black people are a bunch of criminals," and this, fair enough, right? I get that, but you don't need to go to the extremes, right? If it's simply you understanding what the majority of the culture wants, and then you go assimilate into that culture, at least in practice. You don't have to assimilate in your mentality, just to practice. A simple example are immigrants, right? Immigrants, right? I'm talking about Nigerian, Kenyan immigrants, right? These people definitely embody respectability politics. There's reasons why, right? Real reasons, right? If a Kenyan immigrant or a Nigerian immigrant is out here misbehaving, getting caught up in crime, they're going to get deported. That's a whole dream ended from the culture and the people that sponsored them to get there, right? So immigrants generally do this whole respectability thing. But immigrants aren't out there thinking, "Oh, the white man is accepting me." I think that's the issue, which gets people like in some kind of muddled up sort of interest. You don't have to be some weird extreme entity whereby you completely abandon your culture, like completely, and just be like, "Oh, I want to be Dwight, right? I want to be a Dwight American." No, you don't need to become a Dwight American or be respected by them to that extreme. It just has to be knowing the rules of engagement, what they value, economics, the market, so that you can move forward. I'll give you an example, right? There's been a lot of reports, even in the UK, right? Chinese landlords didn't want to rent their houses to black people. Why? Because apparently some black people in that area were very loud. They were very loud, causing, a lot of noise at nighttime. So they just refused to rent to black people. Now it's illegal if you can if you can get this person on text saying, "I won't rent to you because you're black." Hey, you can get money from those sort of situations, but they exist. Why? Because of this lack of respectability. If you're not going to be so-called respectable to the dominant culture, then make sure that your culture is dominant in the ways that matter. Make sure that there's enough black or African owned landlords who will rent to you and won't care so much against it. Either, right, make your culture very strong and powerful, or go out there and simp a little bit to the culture until you get behind. So I'm just kind of confused still why people are so against this respectability thing. This is what immigrants do. This is literally what immigrants do all the time, right? So the concept, let's see what it says over here. When marginalized figures promote respectability politics, they may be attempting to gain social credibility by regulating the undesirable beliefs and behaviors of other members in their social group. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm still kind of confused why this is a bad thing. I'm really confused why this is a bad thing, right? Proponents of respectability politics might attempt to portray their personal social values as being continuous and compatible with dominant values. Okay, right? If I want to get a job, I will want to, you know, to simp to the dominant people that will employ me, right? They may prefer, for example, let's say if there's an assumption that black people are always late, I'm going to try to make myself not be perceived as always late. Why? Because that's the value of the economics. They may prefer not to challenge the mainstream for their failure to accept marginalized community in the mainstream, and that diversity also. Okay, yeah, basically, I think this is generally where, let's say, you know, conservative blacks and immigrants tend to do, and I think the other ones are more or less fighting for their acceptance without having to sort of simp for the dominant culture. I mean, I get it, right? I understand where it's coming from. I'm just saying I don't really agree with the hatred against it. Crenshaw Grinder says it's like wearing suits, clean cut, quiet, and just blending into the dominant culture and not being considered a threat to white people. Nothing wrong with respectability politics, liberal babble. Yeah, exactly. I don't get it, right? If that's you, right? Because here's the thing that makes me kind of think twice about these issues. They will tell you on one hand, they were like, okay, hey guy, you black people are not a monolith, right? They love to say this. We're not monolith, okay? We have different types of black people. We've got nerdy blacks, we've got conservative. But when it comes to politics, oh no, black people are a monolith, right? When it comes to politics, they don't allow for diversity of different thoughts. Because if they truly wanted black people to be diverse, they would allow people without trying to shame them for having their own independent thinking strategies, right? It's to me it just seems like it's childish behavior, shaming tactics that just don't work.
That is not good for the households. That is not good for the greater community. Having babies all over the place by a bunch of different people, that is a problem. And saying that is not respectability politics. Because what on earth does a white person have to do with you rolling around in bed with another person and procreating with them outside of some sort of family planning or familial structure? What does white people have to do with that? Were they there in the room when you decided to go and make a kid? No. So what do they have to do with that exactly? That is the one that gets me. How do we make single parenthood in black communities somehow white supremacy's fault? Who on earth, which white supremacist was in the room when the action was taking place? That is a moral issue. That is a cultural issue. That is a moral issue. We've demoralized sexual relationships and how they are supposed to happen.
Yeah, it's not really a moral issue. It's a cultural issue. I agree with her. It's nothing to do with morality. It's to do with controls, right? So when you have now here's the issue with having a nationalism, right? Especially when you're a marginalized community and you sort of being part of the so-called dominant culture. Here's where the issues come in. Tribes can control their people to an extent. Why? Because there's a chief somewhere, there's an understanding, there is rumors, there is FE. People control you based on affiliations, right? If you're from a specific tribe and you're a single mother, people are going to judge you. They won't let you just sleep easy, especially if you live near them in the communities. They'll talk about you. You'll be known as the single mother, right? As a simple example here. And that probably won't make you feel that well for the most part, right? And I'm sure there'll be people who don't care, but in general, they'll care enough and then they won't want to be that person. So there's controls set in tribes or specific communities. The problem is there is no such thing as a black community. There's black people. There is a concept of being black in the West, but there is no black community, right? They don't exist. There's neighborhoods, but there's no community, right? There's no towns hall meeting where black people, bro. When it comes to tribes, right? Tribes actually have meetings whereby, whether it's yearly or whenever it is, where they discuss things, right? What is affecting them in the country that they're part of. Right? There's actual real community in some of these groups. All I'm saying is there is no such thing as black community. There's black neighborhoods, so that's why it's easy for, let's say, I'm talking about all black people, right? In general, in the West,
We've demoralized two-person partner relationships where you're together and you're making kids within that relationship and within that house. That's a moral issue that has nothing to do with structural racism. I don't care.
it is not a moral issue. It's to do with control and society. You were right the first time when you mentioned it's a cultural issue. It's to do with culture, society, nothing to do with morality. There's nothing wrong with people wanting to be baby mamas. It's not a moral problem, law. Moral problems are you going out there killing people or stealing and stuff like that, right? No, yeah, being a single baby mother, it's not a moral issue. It's really not. Yeah, sure, you make your kids suffer in life. It's not really a moral issue. It's a societal, cultural control issue. Just want to make that clear, right? It's not about morality. Morality is not embedded in this.
I will fight and die and rest in peace on that hill. These are issues that really bug me because we are very quick to place the blame and the onus and the responsibility of these issues onto white liberals to fix, rather than saying there are some issues that that society as a whole needs to address, that our society here in America as a whole needs to address. Structural racism's part, which we have made incredible strides to address those issues, and no one can deny it. There has never been a better time in this country to be black or to be a black woman. There might still be these things in society, but there's never been a better time in this country to be in a marginalized group. That's another hill that I will fight and die on as well. Life is very good as compared to some other eras in this country. It's very, 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 very good to be black and a woman right now. So we can address certain issues that still need to be fixed, but we can also say these are issues happening within our own cultural group that we're perpetuating and we're responsible for fixing within our own cultural group. Leave white people out of it. This has nothing to do with them. How many people you're having sex with and making babies with has nothing to do with white people. That is not a structural racism issue. That is not a, well, if white people this and if slavery didn't that, then we wouldn't this. The practice of having multiple babies by multiple women goes way.
Yeah, she made a mistake. She meant by multiple men. Or I guess it's both actually. Never mind. No, she's right. She's right. I'm the one in the wrong there for that second. So ignore what I was about to say. Now she's gonna say that it goes way back into African culture. And here's where I'm gonna be like, this is an issue when sometimes people make commentaries on African culture. They have no understanding of African culture, what they're saying. So let me take it back a little bit. You'll see what she says, right? She's gonna say that polygamy is the beginning of baby mama culture. And I don't disagree with that. Right? I'm sure that's part of it, right? But now she's going to demonize polygamy when polygamy is a completely different thing. Polygamy is marriage, responsibility, right, of a man looking after multiple families. It's not the same thing as Pookie going out there, dipping in, dipping out. It's two separate problems.
The practice of having multiple babies by multiple women goes way back. We can go all the way back to the 1000s, circa year 1099, before the Renaissance started in the 1100s. Let's go all the way back to the African continent before Europeans started showing up. How many black men were having babies by a bunch of different women?
Yeah, you see, now this, I try to be nice, right? Now she clearly doesn't understand what polygamy is. Literally, it's like, and this is issue. This is why I don't trust, now crunch your grinder. This is why I don't trust conservatives, especially black conservatives, because you get people like this who are most likely just spouting out things that they've now learned, right? These are the extremists. I'm sure this lady probably used to be a liberal. Then she found the light. Now she's a conservative. People that change sides, they start demonizing the other side. You never trust these people because they're not even learning things for themselves, as you saw earlier. This is why she hates to be recognized as a respectability politics when she is literally a respectability politician. these kinds of people can't be trusted at all. Now she doesn't seem to even put one and one together. Polygamy is a man, right? African man in this case, marrying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 women. There's land for each family members, right? I'm talking about the conceptual, the abstraction, the archetype, right? Each family gets a certain land, right, over there. The women are married. They have recognized leadership under that man's rulership, and there's protection of the children. That is how polygamy works. It's nothing similar to Pookie and Ray Ray and Tyrone going out there, getting different women pregnant, leaving them, and also not having a job in order to pay, protect the children, or raise the children. That is not the same issue at all, sis. Like, now, respectfully, because it looks like she clearly doesn't even understand what she's saying. You cannot, in even like, you don't have to understand African culture to get that right. You just have to use basic logic. Polygamy is marriage, right? Responsibility. That's anyways. Let me take it back again. Let's watch it. Ike says, silly broad. Um, storyteller says, only chiefs and kings had multiple women, not dusties. Azoran facts. This is a fascist. Conservatives. Yep. Conservative. This is the issue, right, guys? Like, I have issues with black conservatives because you get to tell people like this. It's like, I get it, right? But then you just become someone who's just airing out you that you've heard from white conservatives. She's not a real black conservative. Real black conservatives believe in black empowerment. Black conservatives goes, oh, okay. So there is, okay. Thank you for that statement, Crenshaw, over there. It's not even the same, jar, right? Polygamy is not. It's not even in the same conversation, right? Polygamy has its own issues, right? But that is a separate thing, not even in the same page.
Circa year 1099, before the Renaissance started in the 1100s. Let's go all the way back to the African continent before Europeans started showing up. How many black men were having babies by a bunch of different women? And yes, some can call that polygamy. Well, that was polygamy. That's different. No, not really. It's one guy having babies by a bunch of women, being imprudent.
And this is why, right, I corrected her when we talk about morality, right? So this is now the issues with these kinds of people. They start bringing up their own psychological mashup into things. Baby mother culture is nothing to do with morality. It's to do with culture, and that's it. We start bringing up moral issues. You see what I mean, right? She's now attacking polygamy because she's probably a feminist, right? She's probably a black feminist conservative. You already saw earlier when she's talking about, it's easy to read people, right? She's talking about somehow, the murder of black women is worse. That's the sentiment that she was going with. So she's a black feminist conservative, probably a little bit bitter, right? And now she's coming for the Africans and their polygamous system. You see, single baby mother culture is not because of it's ruining kids, or because there's lack of a father there to raise the sons and the daughters and give them some kind of stability and direction. No, it's bad because a man can marry is out here having children with multiple people, right? To her, polygamy is exactly the same. I'm not changing her words, right? I'm not mincing words. As baby mama culture, this is a broken individual
and having no temperance whatsoever. This is a very ancient practice within our cultural group that we have not addressed ever, and it's high time that we address it. These are moral issues that have very little to do with whiteness, with white people, with the history of slavery. Some of these issues have been plaguing black people since before slavery even started, like the example that I just gave you, baby.
Yep, Africans in the 1100s were apparently getting multiple women pregnant and not taking care of them. Yep, that's more or less what she's low. It's insane. It's insane.
He's all over the place by different women. That is a very old world problem that's coming through even to today. Just because it's something that our ancestors ancestors practice does not mean that we still need to practice it today. With advancement comes advancement in knowledge, intellectual improvement. We should be able to look at the past and scrutinize and say which things worked for us, which things were good, and which things were not, and leave them in the past.
Yeah, this is what I said from the beginning, right? I didn't trust her, right? She's exactly the so-called respectability politics person that she tried to sway against. Now apparently polygamy is just the same as Tyrone and Pookie doing their thing, right? It's like, okay, I'm just saying, guys. This, where is she getting them? Storyteller, YouTube, Kifaru mentioned earlier, right? YouTube is a place where people come once they read one psychology book or one, critical race theory book. They come to share their ideas, and they seem so strong. And typically, it's people that are bitter a little bit, and they just hate men, right? Unfortunately, that's where this is coming from. Kaiser, unlike Western world, Africans baby mom don't collect child welfare from the government. Yep.
Having babies by a bunch of different women is one of the things we should leave in the past. And a lot of that, half of that blame is on the women too. You have control over who you're making a father. That is the one power that women have that no one can take away from you. You decide who's going to become a dad and who is not. Who is going to have the privilege, might I add, of being a father, and who will not have it. And far too many Black women are reckless with that power. With great power comes great responsibility. Far too many are irresponsible with it. They're making fathers out of men who do not deserve to be dads. So there's a 50-50 blame there because it takes two to tango. Two people to roll around in bed and make a baby. So on to the issue of low financial intelligence. This is another one that I think has very little to do with white supremacy and structural racism. This is another issue that I see plaguing Blacks even long before slavery became a problem. Materialism has been an issue among Black people long before slavery became a problem. Again, if we go...
Yeah, she's confusing stuff, right? There's nothing wrong with being materialist, right? Like a lot of Nigerian men are materialists, right? These brothers hung like, chains, all the stuff, right? They like to show off. Nothing wrong with materialism. The issue is not materialism, guys. The issue is lack of financial understanding. So she's conflating a lot of different stuff. Nothing wrong with someone wanting to buy the nicest car, nicest house. Is the issue is if you can't afford it. She's conflating different things. Materialism is not an issue. Hyper consumerism is not the issue. The issue is, can you afford the lifestyle that you want to lead? Right? So a lot of these people just don't seem to get the underpinnings of what's really going on. So she's advocating pro-choice indirectly. I'm confused. DG, people like this, you can't trust them. You don't even know what they're saying, right? It's like materialism is not the issue, right? I'm not a materialist. I'm a minimalist, right? But materialism is not the issue. A lot of Africans are materialistic, but guess what? They can afford it. A lot of Black people too are materialistic, but guess what? They can afford it. You're not gonna start telling me Kanye or extremely rich people like that shouldn't buy an expensive product. No, they buy whatever they want. The issue is whether their books are clean or not. That's what I keep seeing here. This lady's missing everything. So I'm not gonna start telling Kifaru, you can't go buy that land over there, right? No, I'm gonna tell Kifaru, you looked at the finances, right? Is your finances clean? Can you afford it? If you can afford it, who cares? You move on, right? That's what I keep seeing, the wrong levels of abstraction here. And the polygamy one was insane, and this is why I can't flip it. You can come up, Colin, because you mentioned a statement that you said, Kazorian Empire, we need to stop this Black liberal versus Black conservative stuff. It's based on Mzungu values. I agree with you there. But the issue is, unfortunately, these are the liberals or conservatives who are just taking on learnings from Dwight Man and then just projecting it. It's like we can't come up with their own um, concepts and then build on those concepts. I think Pan Africanism is one of them. Too bad that I don't fully push it forward. Yeah, I think Kifaru, you lost connection or something. But yeah, that's the issue that I'm seeing here. Felipe says, Kazarian Empire, is she familiar with U.S. Freedmen's Bank scandal where the Mzungu board members spent all former slave money on Arab bonds and their families' loans Too many folks on YouTube. Yeah, yeah. And also, Felipe, the other thing is this, right? And this is what another issue where I don't like these so-called black conservatives, right? Who really are respectability politics is this, right? And again, people like Crenshaw, they seem more good. Is this right? So instead of saying, look, I know that there was redlining, I know that the banks prevented us from moving forward, I know that the money disappeared because they weren't protected properly by the state, etc. And I know that this caused a lot of us not to have invested and move forward. But regardless, we have to move forward and build our own systems. They don't say that. They don't acknowledge it. The other issue with these people is they refuse to acknowledge the facts of the racism and all that stuff. Structural racism is real. It does exist. That's not the issue. The issue is how do we move past it and not make excuses? It's like either they're on one side, oh, everything is racist, you can't move forward, or nothing is racist, you can move forward. No, racism exists, structural racism exists, but doesn't matter. You move on because you are the only person who's responsible for your life. Anyways, go ahead. What's good? What's good, Kifaro?
Yeah, I'm having really bad network reception today. I don't know what's going on. You know, can
Did
you
you
hear
go back
me?
to Africa? I can hear you. Did you go back to Africa?
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the around the world. Don't know what's going on. Yeah, what's this lady talking about? She looks like she just graduated from psychology and she wants to teach teach the whole world what's going on. She just had that new psychology degree and
Mhm.
she's found a newfound knowledge and she thinks she's like she understands it. I got this stuff, you know. I know more than you are. I know what's going on. I know that's the fact. You know that newfound knowledge is always really really sweet. You know they always pop up on YouTube. You know
Right.
with a new terminology they've learned and like it's like a light bulb. Yeah, that's why they don't know people have been doing this shit for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. And she's missing a lot more than she's hitting. And I think, like, if you notice, right, what she's doing, she's conflating her own moral morality, aka her own feelings, with culture and society, which are two separate things. Bro, this woman thought, or rather thinks, that polygamy is just as bad as baby mama culture. Very different things. They're not even they're not related. A man in the
She's
village.
mm,
Yeah, go ahead.
is
She
she
said
is
that.
she against polygamy?
Not just against it. She says it's the same as baby mother culture. She thinks it's the same as Pookie having multiple children and not taking care of them. She thinks they're two
Yeah,
of the
I
same
think
thing.
yeah, that still boils down to accountability. When they say black women don't like accountability, they always look for something to compare. You know, they don't want to accept that this is bad. No, it's not as bad. Look at this other side. It's always this comparison. Just accept baby mama's culture is bad. It's not only bad for Black America. It's bad for every society. You understand that? It's just that denial. We are not bad. We can compare yourself with this other group of people. But I think she's so naive. You know, she's just so naive, and she looks so young and naive. I think that's the word. You know, she does not know what she's talking about. She just want a YouTube present. You know.
Yeah, okay. That shout out to you, Kifara. I think that's definitely a good point. What about you, Felipe? What's your thoughts so far on the conversation?
What's happening, Kaizo? How you doing, Kafaro?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
I'm
What
not
about
going to
you?
stay on too long. I just because you asked me to come up about the black conservative, black liberal thing, and what I wanted to say on that, at least with respect to the black American situation, is that it's a profound, in my view, waste of time because we don't have full citizenship. So essentially, you have black Americans, and this is a bad analogy. I hate sports analogies, but I think it's very graphic here. You have a football game going on, right, with two teams on the field, and black Americans are not on the field at all. They're not players. They're not officials. They don't own the stadium. Nothing, right? They bought a ticket, and their ticket is way up in the nosebleed seats, and they're commenting on what's on the field and also what's happening in the nosebleeds. The idea of that is just insane in the sense that someone could argue you didn't even really go to the game because you were so far up in the bleachers that your experience there is not anything like the people that are on the skybox seats. It's not like anybody that are paying for those lower level box seats. You're up in the nosebleeds. So I kind of analogize that on some level to our participation in the political process, in that American politics, in my view, is primarily driven by donations. And it's now primarily driven by multinational corporation donations and state donations through countries that have consolidated their corporate power with their state power. So, for example, I've used this analogy. One could argue that certain countries in the Middle East have more influence on our elections than Black Americans because they donate more money and they're more engaged with our corporations and banks. So to kind of pretend like, oh yeah, they're participating, and in many cases they're not even citizens, right? So to say, hey, we're participating and I believe this and I believe that, and the whole paradigm for that is based on, yeah, you start to hear her lay it out about the Enlightenment period and so on. She's talking about the Scottish Enlightenment. What? We're Africans. What? Like you're not even citing to African scholarship. You know, it's just insane. But you have these people that are out here making this kind of commentary. And really what they're trying to do is to self-diagnose for their own problems and the problems that their family had. And then they come up with some diagnosis that they put online. So I'm going to pause right there and let you guys respond.
Interesting. So, okay, so the implications of what you're saying is basically there's two implications, and I want Kifara to react to it, right? Either there has to be a so-called Pan-African initiative to consolidate power, especially of Black Americans. That's one. Or two, Black Americans in America must consolidate their own culture, their own values, principles, and pierce that into so-called white culture, aka American culture. But it has to be very, very separate. Now they can assimilate in other terms like work culture, capitalism, but it has to be a socially separate identity that is either based on an African principle, where Pan African now is needed, at least conceptually, to create this new identity, especially when interacting with the West. In this context here of Black Americans, all the other, I'm not going to repeat myself. So, James, Kifaru, what's your thoughts on that? And then James Corvus.
Yeah, you know, I think we need to accept that the African American identity is a really complex one. You understand? So sometimes I really find it difficult to know where it fits because at the end of the day, you're Americans. Okay. I don't know if you just accept that we are Americans, we live according to the general American, I don't know, culture, if it's going to be better. Because African American in itself is not anything out of America. Out of America, African America is not recognized. You understand? You can't take African. There's no African American passport. There's no African American like politician. It's just an American politician. You understand? So it's always like sometimes I find it like really it's difficult for me to take African Americans out of America. If you want to take African Americans out of America, maybe they need to be in a different country, or maybe they just go out of America and create their own country. But as far as they're still Americans, it's like really difficult for me
So,
sometimes. You know,
yeah.
that's just the
So, Kifaru,
reality. Mhm.
so just before James responds, here's what I had issues with. I think this is why, and I think Felipe agrees with me. And I don't know if you're still there, Crunch or Grinder on the chat. This is why when I mentioned earlier about Black conservatives versus Black liberals, why are Black people who are generally conservative, right? I'm talking about culturally speaking. I don't mean the other stuff politically, right? Why are Black people joining these groups that are already predefined with specific interest groups, right? If you become a Black liberal, that means you're accepting all the other, let's get busy together stuff and all the other negative aspects. If you become a Black conservative, it also means somehow you're cooning and not really looking at the picture from a Black lens either. Why can't we just create I guess what I'm trying to say, why don't Black Americans have similar to what Nigerians do or Kenyans do when they go to the West, whereas they are culturally conservative, politically they vote or align with whichever one's going to help them with their money or visas. Why is it that there's no so-called real Black conservatism or real Black liberalism, which has nothing to do with the dominant culture?
In a quick answer, and yes, I agree with you, is because we're detached from Africa. And so these other groups, when they come in here, they're still attached to whatever country that they came from. But since we're detached from Africa, then when you would want a purely African thought, you would have to actually view yourselves as Africans. And that's been the problem all along.
I agree. So when it comes to this, right, and me growing up as an African American, because now at this point, it seems like it's cultural, right? Because y'all can say that, yeah, I'm Caribbean or whatever, but I didn't grow up in that Caribbean culture. I had some tinges, but I'm practically African American. I've come to realize in my 30 plus years of life that the Black culture in America is really an attempt at white culture. There is nothing that we have or what we do that is uniquely to us. It seems like we took what we were given and we just kind of remixed it. But the source of a lot of the things that we have within the Black culture in America, and even this can even extend to, in some cases, to the Caribbean and then like South America amongst the Black communities. It seems like we took what our colonizer and slave master gave us and we just remixed it. And whatever he deemed as negative that was African in origin, we sought to destroy it within our own community. There are some things we didn't get rid of, but we remix it to a point where we don't even believe is of African origin. Because that's the only thing that separates us from any other American is our Africanness. And we traded that to be Christians, we traded that to be Democrats, traded that to be Republicans, traded that to be an American. And like the brother Felipe said, that we are not even full citizens. We are second-class citizens in this country. But then we'll say that we built this and we built that, but there's nothing substantial. And then when you ask and when you tell niggas, it's like, yo, either we need to build something of our own in this land or go back to Africa or just go between the two. They say like, well, my ancestors built this. Well, niggas from Italy built all that shit over there with their ancestors in Rome, and they still came over here and built shit. Everybody built shit wherever they were, and they still leave when they don't have the best opportunity they could have in life. It's just African Americans in general are comfortable on their plantations.
I love James's comments. I agree with you 100%, brother. Listen, it's complicated. This is my opinion. Look, imagine if you took Africans from the west coast of Africa, from the various kingdoms, and you held them in captivity for 400 years.
Right.
And you tortured them, and you abused them, murdered them, every horrible thing you could think of, and you made them basically general contractors for all your work. Then you told them, okay, after 260 years of torturing you guys, you still can't leave, but we're going to offer you a permit to stay here, and you with us.
Right.
But you aren't really with us because we're not going to change a lot of the laws that put you in your spot. We're going to hold you in a workplace, a workforce place for us, so we can, make money off of your consumerism, so we can make money off of your creativity. Because we know, because we researched you when we took you from Africa, that you guys were artisans and farmers and that you guys are innovators. That's why we brought you here. So the point I'm trying to make is this, and it's coming quickly. I think James nailed it. Where now there's enough information. Actually, we can be on platforms like this with Africans and communicate back and forth. Where Black Americans are like, wait a minute. I actually have more in common with these guys than I do with these guys where I'm at. Like a Chinese person, wherever they are in the world, they're Chinese. Right. It doesn't change because they're in this country or that country. They're Chinese. And the same is true of Africans. But if, particularly under the British colonies, the brainwash, brain abuse model was so effective that you've got a lot of people in the former British colonies that really have got it all twisted up about their Africanness and what side of the team. Like I said, we're way up in the nosebleed stands talking about I'm on the blue team or I'm on the red team. Dude, you don't even have a jersey.
Bro, I would say it's even worse with the Hispanic countries.
Well,
because
they had a different
was raping everybody, bro.
Well, it's a different model. And yes, I mean
it causes confusion.
Yeah, yes. Well, I actually, my family came from one of these colonies that you're talking about that was under French rule, and then it was under Spanish rule, and now it's under American rule. But regardless, what happened was this, James. I'm just going to break it down real simple. The English brought their wives to their colonies. The Spanish, the French, the Portuguese, they didn't bring their wives. So the brainwash went on differently.
Hold on, brother. Did you say the English brought their wife to the colony? And along them when they went to catch slaves, they brought them with them as well to Africa. Do you believe that's what?
I have no idea what they did in Africa to speak on it like that.
The English brought their wives with them. Do you think they would have needed for them to rape the black woman as the slave black woman?
Well, yes, because they're
raping the black woman. Is that what you're saying?
They wife would be up in their bed and they be in the car.
Hold on. Let me respond and then look, man. The economy was based on free labor. So in the English model, which was built off of the Spanish and the French and the Portuguese, in the United States, I'm speaking about, that they took those same Las Castas laws that were in the Spanish and Le Code Noir that was in the French colonies. They took those and built off of those. You can look in any of the American laws, particularly the ones out of Virginia, which were some of the first.
And brother, sorry, can I just ask you?
Let me finish my point. Wait. Let me finish my point, because you asked a point, you asked a question, and I'm answering it. So here's the answer. The answer is yes, they would have continued to, because they actually, particularly, I think it's after 1830, where they ramped up bringing in the African women. They needed to produce more slaves, and yes, they would have continued to rape them. Yes. So yes, and yes. Now, what they did in Africa, that's a different thing because their occupation was different. But at least in the United States, I can tell you there was a huge, and you can Google it, breeding farm for African slaves right outside of Baltimore. It's also one of the highest sexual abuse areas in the country because they had a slave breeding farm out there. And there were others. So I don't know what you're talking about, but we were talking about.
I can't. Look, I don't have an argument, or I don't have a full knowledge of what really happened with England when they came in to try to fight with the Americans, especially for their land, right? But what we, as many people know in history, when the English people went to Africa, they were raping black women. You know, even America, they were raping women and men. These white American English people. So. That is not a time where you could say that when they went into Africa, yeah, they never brought their wives with them. That is guaranteed. Even I think IC3 has the book he's reading right now. He might quote something out of that book in a minute. But I see he's opening a page right now.
Yes. so this go back to the roots of all what you're saying and listening to the points that you're all making, and so this this is listen to this. Listen to this. This happened in 1441. I'm just going to skip. It says here, look, the Portuguese captured some of these Moors, including one black Moores who was a slave to them. The black Moors appear again when we are told that among these captured was one who was said to be a noble. Okay, so the Portuguese have captured a load of black Moors, and among them is a noble, right? Whoa! So this noble black Moor had some slaves, yeah, black slaves. So they're all black. Oh, so watch this. And so this noble. Okay, so the black Moors appear again when we are told that among those captured was one who said to be a noble, Cavaliero. This noble, upon arrival in Portugal, said that if he would be returned to his people, he would give as ransom for himself 5 or 6 black Moors. After telling of the noble's offer, Zorara continues referring to the black Moors. So this is the Portuguese person who's captured the black nobles and their black slaves. Yeah. So this is what the white Portuguese said, referring to the whole lot of blacks that he captured. These blacks were Moors like the others, though their slaves, in accordance with ancient custom, which I believe to have been because of the curse, which was after the deluge. That's the curse of Ham. See, so the Portuguese know about this curse, the curse of Ham. They believe in it, okay? Noah laid upon his son Ham. Yeah, the curse that Noah laid upon his son Ham, cursing him in this way, that his faith should be subject to all the other races of the world. And from his race, these blacks are descended, as wrote the Archbishop Don Rodrigues Theodore, I can't speak Portuguese, and Josephus in his book of the Antiquities of the Jews and Walter, with others who have spoken of the generations of Noah from the time of his going out of the ark. So these Portuguese now, they've captured all these black people. They're saying they're all blacks. They're all black. And look, so this one of the blacks comes out and says, "Oh, but I'm a noble. I'm not the same as these other blacks. If you take me back to my people, I'll give you 5 or 6 of these blacks." And the Portuguese guys just there listening to him, and he's thinking, they don't know what he's thinking, but he's thinking, look at all these blacks. They're all cursed, and they don't realize they're all the same. They're all blacks. You're all blacks. Noble or slave, you're all the same. You're all black and cursed.
Well, Kaizo, we had a show a while ago. I don't know if you still have the links, where I put up the pyramid for Las Castas that was for Al Andahara, or Al Andalusia, the Iberic Moorish Spain. And that's a whole other thing of what you were reading from is, that Iberic Spain that's ruled by the Moors falls in 1492. But prior to that, the the Moors themselves were a mixture of various groups, some African, some Arab, and some of the small hats. And a deal was cut as the Iberic Moorish Spain starts to fall and collapse because of various economic things, between the Arabs, the small hats, and the rising power, what would become Portuguese and Spanish, although they were under one rule during Ferdinand and Isabella, which happens eventually in 1492. The problem that you are talking about is, unfortunately, many under the Muslim Arab run Spain and Portugal, you had a situation where the Arabs could own African slaves, but the Africans could not own Arab slaves. And this is still true to this day. And so what happened is that the Africans often mistreated their own Africans that they had taken as slaves because they viewed themselves as apart because they were Moors. There was
So
no...
I'm going to okay. Just before you guys, let me just help make everyone follow this train of thought, right? So I'm just trying to use some AI to link everything together. So we're talking about here about blacks, or rather diasporan people who have been outside of specific African tribal culture and now live in the West. What sometimes happens is there's an assimilation that occurs that even makes you forget your own, let's say, preferences. Right now, we're having the Palestinian versus Israeli. This is nothing to do with any Afrocoid individual. Now, you can choose a side if you like it, but it's really got nothing to do with you. The Arabs are racist. They will enslave you. The Israelis are also racist. They will do whatever it is that they will do against you, like they did to the Ethiopian Jews, etc., making them sterile, right? You know, Benjamin, whatever his name is, even apologized for it. All I'm saying is, right? So I'm just linking what you guys are talking about.
Thank you for doing that, because I had to go into the weeds to try to pull this together to make it coherent. Keep going, Kaizo, if you want, because we had a show where I pulled up the charts, both the Las Castas laws and the Moorish laws. Do you remember that?
Yep, I remember that. Yeah, I remember
that's
that.
what he's talking about. Is that stuff, right?
Yep, exactly. So so it's interesting. So so looking at the Spanish and also the Europeans, the way that they created the different classes of assimilants, right, into the culture. So in a way, what they do is they divide us, obviously, right, and stop us from creating our own culture that we value, by obviously creating different classes of people that are closer to them, however they see that. But yeah, James, I don't know if you want to respond to that, and then Mike.
Is this in Kenya? What you just said just now?
No, this is in the West, like West.
Oh, when you said, so I was thinking you're talking about Kenya. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, no, you. Okay.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is that it's funny how they interpret a certain thing, right? Because when you look at that verse in the Bible, Noah only cursed Canaan. He didn't curse all of Ham's sons. He only cursed Canaan, which, of course, if you understand the Bible and like Canaan, obviously that's where the Jews are now, right? So when it comes to that, they interpreted it wrong to apply to our ancestors. It was not only them, it was also the small hats, and it was also the Arabs. And all these Abrahamic faiths, we fell into it because we made the mistake of following these religions, because we thought that some of the people in our group thought that they were better because they followed this religion and saw themselves as higher than the other the other people. So this is the problem. Like, the religion comes in, and I say this is why, like the Abrahamic faiths are parasitic, because the role of them is to take away your culture and your religion. All these Abrahamic faiths come from outside of the African continent. So the only thing they can come in and do is destroy. They did the same shit in Europe, because the Europeans had their own shit, and then Christianity crept in and destroyed a lot of that stuff. So when it comes to us, we got to understand that we really don't have no friends. And that's what the basis of this is. But the dude that you were talking about, the prince, he thought he was better because he was a Christian. I guarantee you he was a Christian.
That's right. That's what the Christians and the Muslims
Right.
they say. Yeah, the non-Abrahamic Africans, they think that they're worth 5 or 6 of them is worth one of us, but they don't realize that the white people, they say, look, you're all black and you're all cursed. Your skin comes from the curse of Ham, and they mix it around. And
the crazy shit is that he couldn't read the Bible.
No, I said 3.
That verse was wrong.
I said 3.
But they don't care.
They
Do
don't
you honestly think white people look at us and actually think we are cursed? White people?
No,
Okay.
well, they used it as a justification for our ancestors' enslavement.
Well, they don't actually believe it though that we're cursed.
No, they probably didn't even believe it back then. If you read the Bible, it's not Ham that has the curse; it's Ham's son that has the curse.
No, I mean I don't follow Bible and everything.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
know about
I'm saying these white people that go around. I mean, they're actually saying they look at us and say we're cursed. So I don't think white people looked at us.
No, it's not as simple as that. What happens is, I mean, I'm still just started reading this, but it's a lot more subtle.
Be careful what you read as well. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, but it's just confirming some things. So basically, you have to look at how a society is built. Okay, so you have your spiritual people that set the values of the culture. Yes, so people might not know the history of the tribe or the clan or the people, but there are people individuals or groups of people within any society that hold the memories of how the society came to be. They hold the treasure of the myth of who was our first father, who was the first mother, and so on. So these are stories that are related to the identity of the clan, of the tribe, of the nation, and so on. So that's usually held in the hands of the priesthood or the what those people that in Africa that they keep good memories of all the family lines and family trees.
The griots.
Yeah, griots.
That's right. That's it. The griots. That's it. The griots.
Well, different ethnic group have different names for it. Well, it's okay. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the griot, he's not. He doesn't. He's in a different realm. He's like he's in the realm of the priesthood. You know, they keep the sacred mythologies that keep the identity of the people. So they're not subject to logic and reason like everybody else who's going out to do business and trade and so on. They're just holding the identity of the people. Does that make sense? It's difficult to explain, but you have to look at how.
I just wanted to make so we all agree that the conservative liberal argument for the time being is not something that we should engage in, and we should all focus on the bag. We can all agree on that, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Can we get a consensus? I know my man Mike is in here. He's going to drop his wisdom. So
what's that? Did you say focus on the bag? Did you say focus on the bag?
Listen, man, we got about 5 years to get our act together on this money thing, both our African brothers globally, and either we're going to focus on trying to do that, or we're going to sit around arguing about the Enlightenment period and what the Moors did and whose interpretation was Diop right. Was, you know, I mean, we're going to talk about the Egyptians and
I know.
We don't have time.
Everyone is on a different phase. You know,
we don't have time.
Exactly. You know, everyone's on a different phase. There's some people that is trying to figure out where they are, who they are, and things like that. And there's some of us that know who we are, and we're not interested.
We don't got time, Mike.
You know, we know where we're going. We already know who we are.
Let's talk about money.
You're the main one that says cut to the chase, and I'm agreeing with you, brother.
That's right.
You're the main one that say, we don't need to talk about none of that. You want to start a business, start it today. That's you, right?
Exactly. Let's start, business, get something going. I don't have time to be trying to figure out a past, you know.
I know you might.
Let's talk about money. Let's talk about money. Really talk about money then.
And I'm going to drop there because I get back to work. Let's go.
So you see, from that what I just read there, that guy was thinking about money. He didn't realize that the Portuguese just seen them as black and cursed. Yeah, but he was thinking that, hey, if you bring me back to my people, I can give you 6 of these. So he's thinking about trade and business, right?
So
But he
what
doesn't
should they have
realize.
done? I see. What do you think he should have done in that moment? Yeah.
Well, I think he should. Well, he should have realized that these people see. So if I'm the noble now, and I'm captured with 6 slaves, so I've got black slaves. Yeah, I'm black and I've got black slaves, and then I'm captured by the white man now. So it's so hard. How am I going to wake up and see
Yeah.
myself as the same as those 6 people? In contrast, so the white man's looking at me, the Portuguese are looking at me. They've chained us all up. I'm chained up to the 6 slaves here who were my slaves, and they're looking at me, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is like a. I don't know.
What
How
don't you
would
think
I?
that guy is just trying to survive? He's trying to figure his way out of there, trying to negotiate his way out, and just
Yeah,
trying to
by
get
any
out
means
of there, man.
necessary.
Right. He ain't worried about the other people.
Exactly. It's easy for us to say,
Yeah,
"Oh, that guy's a sellout." Boy, at that moment, you just want to get back to your family, man. Like you
yeah,
literally, at that moment, you see. That's why the first law of nature is self-preservation. When you
yes,
find
that's
yourself in a
right.
very, 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 life and death situation, it's not a
Yes,
time to be like you be willing to like literally have everyone else around gone and for you to like it's just
yes.
human nature. That man is in a position where he just want to get out of that situation.
You just want to get out. You see, for
He's got to
anything.
negotiate his way out. If you have to sacrifice other people for him to be alive, he would do it,
Exactly.
just like every
But
other
but
human being animal.
we are in the same situation. I think that we're in the same situation because we're earning good money from the West, the American dollar, yeah, and then you got the third world, but we're earning first world money. So, and the solution would probably have been for him to link up with those 6 and all 7 of them take out the Portuguese. But because of he's thinking about self-preservation and he's not understanding blackness. He's not understanding that aspect of it. We're in this exact same position when you're talking
Okay,
business. Let's make some money and get out of this. No, it's not going to work that way.
you're right. You're right. I definitely get your point. Like, I mean, sometimes it's best you trying to work with your people to work together to get out rather than being all about yourself. But in the case of that individual, you have to understand, like those they were captured in many occasions, they all don't speak the same language. So you might have looked at them trying to communicate. Okay, how do we work together? But these guys don't know.
What a
They're
situation,
from the
man.
next 3 tribes. Their language is completely different from my own. You know, I mean, in many cases, that's the reason why if you study in the past when they used to capture the slaves, they used to make sure they separate those that speak the same languages,
Right.
so that way they don't work together to to take
So it's the
the
same model.
yeah
It's
they used
working
to
now on
do
an
they
international.
always make sure they separate. That's why a lot of African people started doing giving their kids tribal marks and stuff, so just to make those that come from the same place recognize each other. They put marks on their body, in
Right.
parts of their body. So whenever they're in that situation, they see each other, so oh, this guy has a mark on his face he's from this place, that place. I know their language. I can speak their language.
Yes.
So the language thing kind of till today, the language, but Africa, we have too many languages, man. Like I'm telling you, literally, a single state in Nigeria, they can have like about 20 different languages, like just different dialects. So that language thing really affected us a lot on the
Yeah.
continent. Some
But
empires are lucky that they're big enough to have one big language, like the Yorubas. They have, it's a big empire. We have one central language. So and then many
isn't
other
it true?
groups, the
Is it not
Ashantis.
true that the Abrahamic faiths, like Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, they override language, aren't they? They embrace all the different languages.
In what
Yeah, for
sense? What do you
sure.
mean?
Yeah, they do embrace all languages, but what do you mean by the point? Like, do you mean as in like they let you speak your language, or are you saying they impose a language on you?
Well, what would you say? Let's explore this together.
Well, you know, for example,
Fundamentally, I would say that the Abrahamic faith has been taken over by white supremacy, but they're still powerful
100%. I'll
systems.
stand with you. I'll stand with you on that. Even
including
as a
Islam.
Muslim, I would say even
Yes.
Islam has been taken over by white supremacists. So for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Who's this white supremacy has taken over Islam? Is it the
Well,
US?
okay.
Back in the day, like a man from Mali, you know, he would say he's Muslim. That's how he used to identify. But now, you know, when this nationalism, and anywhere, a man from any Muslim nation will identify as Muslim. They had no color, it had no nothing. But nowadays, because of nationalism and Saudi Arabia being the, you know, the nation that holds the land where Mecca and all the stuff happened there is, they, you know, it's become an Arab face, you know. But back in the day, it was never like that, you know. So definitely, it's been taken over.
But no, you said white supremacists, no Arab supremacists.
Right.
Same. In my opinion, the same things, because you know the same people that run those Arab nations are the same people that run, you know.
So Arabs are Caucasians, are whites.
Well, actually, I have to start changing.
Listen,
go on.
say the word. You got the small hats, which, you know, operate, you know, as a you know, they are also under that white thing, you know. And if you check, if you know about the Middle East, then you know who really runs the Middle East, you know, especially the families that run it, you know. They were chosen. So it's all
I think I have to stop saying white supremacy. You know, I'm gonna have to stop after reading some of this. I've just started after reading some of the stuff, the history. I have to stop saying white supremacy, because what it is actually anti-black. It's anti-black. They're all united against black Africa, because Africanness is connected to that's the language. They don't talk about white here. All they talk about is the curse of black skin. They don't talk about. So I keep saying white supremacy, but
when
really,
you say they're all united, who are those that are united?
That curse you're talking about is more in the Bible. You don't really have that in the Quran. You know what I mean? But I'd say you're right.
But the Moors,
and so do the Arabs, because the Arabs also.
It's a culture. With the Arabs, there's nothing in the book, because in the book of the Bible it says that, you know, Ham's son was cursed or whatever. Ham was cursed, and in the Quran we don't have none of that. You know, you don't have even like the last sermon that the Prophet gave. He said, you know, the Arab man is not superior than a black man. The black man ain't superior than the Arab man. The white man ain't superior than the Arab, the black man, all that stuff. So
why didn't Allah go to a nigga somewhere in Mali?
Huh?
How come Allah didn't go and reveal himself, or like the angel Jibril didn't go in and reveal himself to some random nigga in like Mali?
In the Quran,
why he go to an Arab? Why he go to an illiterate dusty Arab?
Okay. Let me ask you. Every nation, it says there was 124,000 prophets sent to every nation that has lived, you know, and the Prophet Muhammad was the last prophet, you know. So Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Mali, the Mande groups, all of them had a prophet, man. You know what I mean? Unless
what about Joseph Smith?
I hear that. That's the first time I'm hearing that.
Wait, what about Joseph Smith? What's the name of the Mormon guy? The prophet of the Mormon?
Nah, that's after.
Oh, Joseph Smith.
What I'm saying is
he's not a prophet.
After the Prophet Muhammad, there was no more prophet. So
what about, I just asked you about the Mormon prophets.
I don't know about them. Well, I don't know about the Mormon.
Joseph Smith and all the others.
What about Prophet TB Joshua? There are many prophets today as well.
What about Zoroaster?
After 600 AD, there's no prophet.
There's no prophets.
No prophets, bro.
So who gets to tell me who's a prophet?
Huh? God.
Who gets to decide who's a prophet?
The Most High, God.
So okay, so no. Here you are the one telling me who's the prophet. No, wait. Now I'm glad you answered that. He says it's God that decides who's a prophet. Well, you're the one telling us here who's a prophet and who's not.
Yes.
But
are you speaking on behalf of Most High or what?
Prophet.
Listen, Abrahamic faiths, you know, they're fierce in the message where they let you know, you get me, that who's who, you know what I mean? And that's about it, man. If you know Abrahamic, you know what's going on.
But who gets to say it though? That's what I'm asking.
What do you mean by that?
Bro, all these religions come outside of Africa, bro. They come from outside of Africa.
It's not even. I mean, you're telling us who prophet is, who decides who the prophet is, and stuff. And I'm saying, who gets to do that? And then you're saying the Abrahamic faith. In what sense? Is it someone saying it, or?
The Most High determines that.
Okay, the Most High. Okay, how does the Most High determine?
Prophets, you know, we've had prophets to every nation. You know what I mean? But
according to who?
The message surely gets corrupted. So you know, there's the you know, the Beni Israel, the Israelites, they were God favored those people and He sent prophets through them.
How did you know this though? How did you know what God favored?
This is revelation. This is everything. This is
whose revelation?
Yeah, but Mike, how can you actually function together? Because they only see us as black, so we've got to function.
Who only see us as black?
Yeah, Mike, where we diverted there, we went into religion. Let's talk about.
That's right. So what it is, we're like the noble. That noble, and that's what the Portuguese captured. They captured the noble, who was a religious man who owned some slaves. So when the Portuguese are looking at them, right, they're just saying they're all blacks. You're all the same. I'm not
see. Let me. IC3. Let me tell you. See, it's not that the Portuguese didn't know the difference in people. Even before the slave trade started, Portuguese were already dealing with the Benin Kingdom. They already had, even the Benin Kingdom had an embassy in Portugal. They already trading with various different kingdoms in Africa, and they knew the differences among these kingdoms. What happened with transatlantic slave trade was a group of capitalists. They wanted to make wealth. They figured another way to make money. And they say, wow, since we all look different as human beings, maybe we can create this idea of making one group of people slaves and the other. I mean, it's easy to identify. You say, oh, if your skin is like this, you be the slave. And if your skin is this, you be the non-slave. And since Europe is a separate, it's a white-only society, and they want to become rich. And you have to also understand that Europeans always been the envy of the Africans, because they used to see Africa as this heaven, paradise place, because we had the best weather, we had the arable land, the waters, everything, nature, and they always saw it as that. So it's an envy, and they wanted to make their own place a heaven, a developed and wealthy and everything. So they had to come up with ways to do it. It's just capitalism. They wanted to make money. This whole thing was about money. And they succeeded. They made wealth out of transatlantic slave trade. That's what makes Europe so wealthy today, and the United States. So this whole thing is about money. It's not about racism or about religion or anything. Trust me, it's a hustle.
All right, so let's go into money then. Let's talk money. Let's talk money, because it always boils back down to money and banking, doesn't it? And insurance. Because people say, okay, we're in a problem. Money will be the solution. Either way it goes, the solution's got to be money. That's the most popular view. If we can make money, do successful business, we can buy our way out. That's the most popular view, correct?
I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So,
but that money we're talking about now is it's not the same money as back in the day, because back in the day, nations were much more wealthier by and it was more, things were judged by what you had, like as in gold, items, it was barter trade. So we flourished in those times because we had a lot of resources. Africa had gold, and all of that history, about
had gold. It still has gold.
No, you had, you know what I mean about, you know what I mean. I'm saying that, you get me, but you get me. Africa had, back then, I'm saying, you get me, had a lot of gold. So you know what I mean. So even Guinea, they used to name even the European country, they call the gold Guinea because they used to get their gold from the Guineans. You know what I mean? The place
just to support Elder, most gold is still in Africa. Most gold on the planet is still in Europe.
I'm giving a context for back then. I'm saying you had gold. I'm saying, you know what I mean.
No, what you mean is most gold that is mined. That is no longer. Yes. But most gold.
For conversation's sake, you know what I mean. Like, I wouldn't want to delve that, break every little point down one by one. You know what I mean. I was saying like, you know what I mean. We had gold and that. We still have gold, whatever. But that's how we had our currency. That's why
okay. So what did they have?
Then they were lacking in those things. You know what I mean? So that's why those back in the day, Africa was a lot wealthier than that. But when they came and controlled, colonized, and made systems in place where they can extract and take the.
So what did the white man have that the African didn't? What does the white people? What do the Europeans have that enabled them to do what they did and are still doing? What is it that they actually have?
What they had was desperation and determination. They were desperate because think about it.
Interesting.
Look at the yeah, that's what they had. They okay. IC3. Just look at the fundamental. Look at Europe. let's take away all the artificial things we have today that's making us live comfortable, like the heater, the AC. Just say we're all living on the soil without anything that we're using right now. And someone living in Europe where they have very cold winter, right? Half of the year, right? And someone living in Africa where basically all year round you can walk around without clothes. Like before you walk a mile, you can get to a river. When you throw a seed on the floor, it starts germinating within days. Food grows in
Yeah.
Africa easily. The most horrible land. Where in Europe, they can't grow food year round. That's one. They don't have all the natural habitat to give it a easy survivor. Easy, you understand? Now, Europeans are living in that condition. And then they're moving around. And don't forget, before they started this whole exploration, they had something called the Black Death, where a disease wiped out half of Europe. Remember when they had
Yeah.
was it chicken smallpox? So they were living in a desperate condition. So when they started traveling, visiting other environment, and they see that these people here have it better, they became determined. How can we become better too? How can we become be in that position, or even so that's where the whole envy and the anger, like why life is not fair. Nature wasn't fair to me. Nature wasn't fair. So I have to go conquer these people. I have to take what they have.
Right.
That's the only way I can have it.
So Mike,
Because,
let me ask you a question, right? Because here's part of the question, right? What I noticed, right? So you got people like Mr. IC3. He believes in slave morality. He believes in begging the white man for freedom. Then you got people like you, Mike, who believe that the white man is irrelevant in the equation, right? Sure, racism exists, but it's up to us to make the best out of our lives. Then we got Snake Man. He's just a snake, right? He's always weaving and moving around in different directions. So what is the actual way for black people? How can we, like, for example, socialism or capitalism? Which side should black people be part of? Miss IC2 would say, "Oh no, we can never be free." So, what do you think
No,
Africans
what do you
need to
mean? I
focus
wouldn't say that.
So I'm the snake. I'm the snake. What does make you Satan? So it's the king of lies.
Yeah, you're a snake. You're never really saying anything, right? You know
Okay.
Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. You just talk in circles.
Ouroboros,
There's
that's
all
it.
sorts of weaving and all that stuff. You can't be trusted because you ain't got a point, Snake Man. You're just out there
That's why you
proving
never won
everything.
an argument against me, Kaiser. Because
Exactly.
I
You
never
see,
ever
you're just
won.
trying to win an argument, but you're not saying anything.
I'm
That's what the
I'm
snake
just
does.
saying facts. That is all.
I think that there has been a change now. I'm going to try and see that. I'm seeing that to say white supremacy is not really that helpful. It's because it's not. It's really anti-Africanness. It's anti-blackness. That's what it is. So blackness, the foundation of it is religious. So it's true money, but money comes downstream from faith because trade is all trust. Yeah. So it's downstream. So it's the foundation of this is a faith. The faith in that blackness is associated with sin and evil. So
according
that
to who?
idea, I know is that's their what you described earlier. What you described earlier, that faith enabled that mindset to prosper. They needed
I don't
that
even know what you just said.
idea.
What did you just say?
Okay, so you said desperation, right? You said desperation was their motivation. Something like that you were saying. Okay? Hunger, starvation. So therefore, it helps them to say, well, the Africans must be greedy.
Right. But Mr. IC3, what about what the brother supervision is saying? He's saying your team, right, whatever black or African, is just losers. And you guys are just trying to cope by creating all these white supremacy and all these ideologies. Can you just say you guys are the losers?
Yes, because there's a curse, there's a spell. So spells and curses work. You have to break it.
And what is this spell and curses? Who put a curse and spell on who?
Let's put it in business language. You know, marketing is an aspect of business. Yes. So if people hear something about your company, they may not invest. Or they hear that there's going to be some unstable situation, they may withdraw money from your company. Yes, withdraw investment. Yeah, and that's just hearsay and gossip. If the wrong thing is written, yes, so that's all in the air. But you may have good products. You may have good products and good distribution network. Your business could be going well, yes, but a few whispers.
So your competition is trying to take you down. Basically, your competition is trying to take you down, right?
Yes, but that's in the realm of spells and curses.
You don't need to call it spells and all these things. Just say competition trying to take you down. That's all.
When you say competition, right?
Yeah,
competition kind of is trying to take you down. Okay,
the person that's putting that stuff on their rumor by your company, so customers don't go there. I mean, he's not doing it for no reason. He's doing it for his own interest. He wants them to come to him, so he's trying to destroy your image or whatever reason. It's personal. It's not because he's just spelling you or anything. It's just him trying to come up, so you go down. You know. They say somebody have to lose for someone to gain. So that's just what it is. That's the game all these people play. It's not because your skin color.
So then you have to do, if we talk
in your language, even if you change your skin color to green, they'll do the same, man.
So let's talk in business and money then. So therefore, that's the marketing department. Yes. So you have to have a counter marketing, which is what? Counter propaganda or a counter narrative. Yeah. A story that goes with your product. So you're going to have to counter the propaganda or the bad things being said in the press about your business model.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Right. So therefore, what is the effective way to market against the bad press, the white supremacists, or the anti-black or the anti-African press? What is the most effective way, do you think? Let's discuss that.
Let me dive into what you're just saying. So basically, what you say is the white society, they weaponize the press to anti-African things, stuff like that. For their own reason, they market you and everything. And okay, well, they lie. So the beautiful thing about the truth is, a lie can go 1,000 steps. The truth only have to take a step, and it will catch up, overtake the lie, right? So here's the thing: no matter how the press lies and everything, once you put the truth out there by yourself, that's all you need. You understand? But unfortunately, somehow we blacks, I don't know what it is with us. Like, they will stereotype us, call us this, call us that, and then we go out and actually display exactly that stereotypical thing they say about us. And we even effort to confirm it. I would say, for example, in America, the white media, they do so much propaganda that they will, whenever a black person commits a crime, they put it on TV. They will just put everything negative about blacks. And what do black people do? They go out and start rapping about exactly the same thing. That, yeah, I'm a killer, I'm a this, I'm that. I'm like, okay, they're already stereotyping you. Why are you now stereotyping yourself?
Mike.
And we Africans do it, especially my Nigerian people. Like, the white people go out there, they say, these people here, they are drug this, they are scammers and this. And the Nigerians will get together and they'll be saying the same thing about them. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? I mean, so
Mike, I think
something is wrong.
You know what the difference is? We don't care what other people say.
Yeah, you don't have to care, but I'm not saying you have to care. But now, don't do it to yourself. That's what I'm saying. Like me personally, like when I get around,
do it to ourselves. What do you mean, do it to ourselves?
You don't go out and be calling yourself what you're not.
Oh man,
are you okay? Okay, I'll give you an example. When a rapper is rapping about his hood is bad, his hood is, if you come to my hood, you're gonna get robbed. If you come to my hood, we do this. This is bad thing. And if you go to the neighborhood, what percentage of people in the neighborhood are actually doing those things? Not up to freaking 10%. So why are you saying everyone in the hood? That's what we do. That's not what everybody does.
Like you're doing the exact same thing as the black woman at the start. You're conflating things you don't do. You're conflating what the outsider says with what the insider says. If you ever was on a Nigerian panel and on this, and Kaiser's basically a Nigerian panel, so the only thing we're talking about is politics. Not talking about drugs. Not talking about, I don't know what's outside.
What you're doing here.
Most Nigerian parents about inner politics and the dysfunction of it.
Are you accusing me of saying Nigerians always all they talk about is that? Is that what you're accusing me of saying?
No, I'm saying when we are alone, when we are inside the groups, that's what we talk about. Because
but I didn't say what we talk about when we're alone, and I didn't say we don't talk about politics or talk about other things. I'm saying that there are people they also stereotype themselves. For example,
yes, with the outsiders.
So what do you disagree with me?
We don't care. You must understand your entire logic is based on, okay, what does the outsider think of us? And we tell you.
No. Snake man. I didn't come here out of the blue started saying I care about what outsiders is thinking of us. IC3 asked me a question that's the white world are doing things to weaponizing media and things to tarnish the black man's image. And he's asking me what we can do to counter that. And I'm saying what we should do to counter that is to present the actual facts about who we are. But unfortunately, that's not what some of us do. Some of us actually have to promote it. So I don't know what the problem is.
Your entire logic is based on the fact that you care. Why should I counter?
No, my entire logic is not based on the fact that I care. My entire logic is based on me just responding to the question that man asked me.
Trying to counter Snake Man is right. You know, you shouldn't care. You shouldn't care about that at all, bro.
But what makes you think I care, though? What makes you think I care?
Because you try to counter it. Why did you count? You must understand inside the group.
Well, then say that's what IC3 is the one that's concerned about countering it. IC3. Why you not the one that asked how do we counter? Or did I just come out of the blue and start saying
Let's slow this down. Let's slow this down.
There's a counter.
Let's slow this down. First of all, Mike, you were saying, right? You out of your own words, you're saying, I don't know what it is with these people. I don't know what it is with us. I don't know what. So I'm saying, let us explore that area where you're saying you don't know what it is. I'm saying,
what is what?
When you say you don't know what it is, that which is
what is what? What is what it is? What? Don't know what?
You were saying you don't know what it is with our people. You kept saying that. And then you went.
No. This is what I said. I don't know what it is with us that we help further affirm.
Yeah, you don't know what it is.
What the stereotype is.
So let's find out.
Okay. Go ahead.
You don't know what it is. So
because I don't see any other group that does it. I don't know. I don't know any other people that does it. That's what I'm saying. But what I can tell you what it is.
Mike,
go ahead.
We do. You know, in Africa, we do have people that don't wear clothes. You know, so there'll be a lot of stereotypes. You know, we have people with plates on their lips. We have a lot of things that are.
It's not a minority. So you must understand. There are different inside group mentalities. We know such white people. We never give a fuck about us. This is not a revelation. So trying to counter anything.
Snake man. Sorry. But what IC3 is saying is marketing. He's not talking about caring about what someone think about you. He's talking about actual business and marketing. Say if somebody's trying to tarnish your business, like let's say, wait, hold on. Snake man, listen a little bit. Listen for a bit. The whole point is not about caring about how someone see us or care about us. What he was talking about is he gave an analogy of business, like you own a company and you sell a product, and somebody's out there trying to discredit or tarnish to kill your product, right? And he's going out to give lies and false information, saying, "Oh, what he sells over there is poisoning or is bad," and they're trying to tarnish. And he's saying, "How can you counter that kind of marketing?" That's what it's about. It's not about how do we have white people start seeing us as good people or start liking us. That's not what we are discussing. IC3, am I right?
Yeah, you're right. You're correct.
But once again, IC3, I understand where you come from because IC3 is in a different situation. I talk now inside of the African continent. White people may not go away just because we are at war or we are rebelling or something. It's a French company, for example. Did the French company pack their shit and run away just because there was a coup that was anti-French? No, they're still there mining uranium. So the business aspect and the propaganda are two different things. White people will never leave us alone.
Who's saying that we'll leave you alone? You're not speaking to what we're talking about. IC3, you agree with me? Like you're not talking to the point we're talking. I mean, if you want to discuss something different, then you can do that. But
Yeah, because your
don't counter what we're saying by saying
because
something completely
the
different.
logic is flawed. It makes no sense in reality. As a concept, I understand it.
Okay, which part of my logic is flawed? Please tell me. Tell me.
Kaiser already explained it. There are people who love to argue in concepts, and there are
Snake
people
man, which part of my logic is flawed? Please tell me.
Your logic is flawed because they're easy. You will think in a world
Because it's easy.
Okay. We just think in a world where black people have
No. Just answer my question, please.
Yeah, I try to say what is flawed. Your argument is based on a world where black people must give a fuck what white people say.
IC3, is that what? Please, is that what my logic is? Please.
No, that is your
think
argument.
So. Oh my God, man! Gosh.
Well, let's start again.
Then why should we counter it? If we don't care, why should we counter it? What's the point behind it? Explain it to me. In a world we don't care, why should we counter
it? I'm gonna have to agree with Snake Man, but go ahead, y'all.
Snake Man. Anyway, let me just leave it alone.
Mike, don't go any
IC3,
further.
please.
Snake Man is a 103 IQ German.
Okay. So
all right,
remember,
Snake Man, you win. Okay, you win.
It's not about
I
winning.
mentioned things like curses and spells, and that moves into the religious realm. So I'm going to park the religious realm to the side and say, like, okay, let's see if we can talk just money and business. Let's see if we can stay within that realm: business, logic, reason, money. Let's stay within. You don't want to go into the religion side. You want to go into the spiritual side, into curses and spells. That's where so I'm going to put that aside, and I'm going to talk on the frame that we're saying. So if we're talking business and marketing, you're producing products, and you've got to sell them. So you got to produce it. You've got to get a good distribution channel. So even if you're making good products, if you have not good control over the distribution, that can mess you up. And then the third thing is also the perception of your products in the market. So the perception of your products in the market is the nearest to the spiritual aspect, but I'm going to try and avoid talking the spiritual, and then say, okay, if you're producing things, and if your goods are better than the Europeans, okay, great, you're making better goods than the Europeans, and that's a fact. All right, what is your distribution network? Is it better than the European distribution network?
Our distribution network is the European. Like
right.
That's what I mean with reality.
There you go.
Understand your concept. You must understand. Most things European have in Europe, they cannot produce on their own land. They have to get it from the outside.
That's why. So we have to be, as humans, we have to be we have to be global. Not globalists. Like I'm not a globalist, but you can't think you can just fully detach from this side or all of that stuff.
That's why I said.
Everyone in the world, every country needs every country. When one country in the world gets fucked, the whole world feels it. That's why you have to work in unison. You can't really be divided. You can't really, you know what I mean? But you can.
I'm not trying to divide.
You can get to a level where you can be, where you can be the one making the deals. Right now, we're the ones having deals made for us.
Yep, that's a problem, because the European will never leave. I just brought the example of Nigeria. Literally have an anti-French coup. French are still there, having 80% of the mining rights. We're never going away.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I want to say also, just to add on to that as well. They're going from one white man, the Frenchman, to the Russian, and also recently, Burkina Faso has signed a deal with Russia to to
Yeah,
make nuclear power plants in Burkina Faso. So at
that's
least
right.
you just got to pick the side that's going to better help.
Basically, what's
the best thing
happening right now is
yeah.
Africa has a product. Africa is the only one who has a product. Normally, in normal capitalism, that means we have the monopoly, we can dictate the price. But the entire system that the European and the West built is literally, okay, we try to keep the price as low as possible for eternity, or as long as we can. So that is
Yeah, but can I ask you guys a question?
Exactly.
Can I ask you guys a question, right? Because you guys love to complain. I've said this, you're going to call me a coon, right? You complain, the French is so bad and everything. But look, is Kenya in Niger funding these mining corporations? No. Is Kenya or Nigeria in Central African Republic? Do you know who's
It's the
making
white
beer
man. It's the
company?
white man.
It's the white man. So why do you guys even hate him? Yeah, here's the thing, though.
Who said he's bad? The only thing expansionist said is, okay, Russia is a better deal. That is all.
Yeah,
he never said white man bad.
I'm saying you can't. What I'm saying is, let me clarify. I'm saying you can't get rid of the white man. It's not smart. It's stupid. What you can best do is, pick the side of the best.
Right, but expansionist. I'm gonna say, something more radical. Why do you guys even have an issue with white man when you yourself don't even have the ability to go help out these countries?
It's not.
You know which country is making beer in Central African Republic? It's not the Kenyan brewery, the East African brewery. It's literally Wagner. Wagner is the one actually making businesses in Central African Republic. So I'm saying until you guys
Kaizo, I understand you, but you're being too radical to the point where you're on your knees and you're licking at us. I don't want to do that. I have a bit of pride in that. You know what I mean? That's the only difference, guys.
Basically, what we are saying is
no. Hang on.
Hold on. We see also people. We see also people making deals with the white man without trying to booty clap and lick and carry water and getting some grip from the So what we're saying is, okay, if it is possible, white man, to have deals with you without the degradation shit and have them and get more money out of it, let's try to do it with us. So that is all we say. We're not talking about rip apart the contract. We're saying changes the contract.
Yeah.
That is all.
Singer, here's the issue. You can't have a contract without leverage. And that's the issue with you people. Right? Forget the corruption and all that stuff. If you don't have the leverage, you can't make...
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
100%, but we're not disagreeing with that,
okay.
So that's why we said, it's a moment right now. It's a moment right now. Exactly. So Russian deal right now with no leverage, the Russian deal is just sweeter than the French deal. The same in Nigeria.
Exactly.
The Chinese deal is just sweeter than the French because the French deal gives us
for China.
Hold on. The French deal gives us without leverage, gives us shit in return. The Chinese deal gives us dry bread. Dry bread is 1,000 times better than shit. So what do you think we will choose, Kaiser?
Okay. So what I'm saying is, first of all, we don't have evidence that the Russian deal is better. The Chinese deal, yes, we have evidence, right? They've actually done for us what we couldn't do for ourselves. They give us
Kaiser in Burkina Faso.
No, that's a dream. That's a dream until it's happened. Because you guys love to, you guys masturbate on things that don't even exist.
You did the same thing. You did the same thing with the Chinese. So now you have to admit it.
Look, China, when the evidence is there, right? Okay, so why is China so-called better than the West? Why? Because they give you the loan. They built for you, so they prevent African corruption from buildings not being made. So they've actually solved the problem. Buildings get built, and then they give us the money. So great, China's great.
That is exactly
Russia hasn't done anything to you.
No, that is exactly what I said to you when the Chinese came in and you said, no, Snake Man, no. What you're saying is in the future. What do you know? Chinese culture. When you say, you cannot predict the future, Snake Man. And now exactly is happening.
Hang on, wait. No, hang on, Snake. You're still saying something separate from me. I don't know if China's going to be good for us in the future. I don't know. But for right now, China has been good for us.
That's exactly
I'm not going to.
I am saying.
I don't know.
I'm just making.
Russia hasn't done nothing. You guys are saying Russia hasn't done nothing.
It has started. Do you, Kaiser? Don't understand. You are like the person of insanity. We had a debate with the Chinese. You said the exact same shit. Now you say the exact same shit with the Russians.
Exactly the same thing.
No. Tell me what Russia's done. Tell me what Russia's done, guys. What has Russia done? Tell me.
That is the same argument. What did China do?
I mean, Kaizo, they're helping stabilize the government. in a security sense, so they
Yeah,
are in
yeah,
a
yeah.
sense doing
Central
something.
African Republic. Yeah, that's true. That's true. They've
Telling
done something in
AFR,
Central
high
African
IQ
Republic.
gentleman there.
That's a good point. Yes. So they did stabilize Central African Republic. Okay, that's a good point.
I
Fine.
was
Okay,
thinking about
but
that
I just want
recently
an
as well,
answer.
Central Africa.
Yeah, they've actually stabilized the government there. I agree with you. Okay, fine. So they've done something good for one country. Okay, that's somewhere.
I
We're
get, I
getting
get it,
somewhere.
Kaizo. Okay,
Secondly,
so
they
so problem,
spearheaded the coups that happened in Niger. That
Well,
that
those coups, we don't even know if it's positive yet, right? That one is still yet to be decided,
Burkina
right? At least it's
Faso.
Central
I'm
Africa.
just saying the Sahel region in general. They were the ones that spearheaded it. Those people.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
if they
Of
win,
course, they're gonna.
if they win,
Russia has interest too,
yeah.
but the Burkina Faso, they had interest to get the French out. You know what I mean? So
Okay,
the
if they
Sahel region as
win
well.
in Sahel, I'll agree with you guys. Right now, I'm still waiting for that to happen. But yeah, AFR is correct. Central African Republic, they beat the
Kaizo,
terrorists. They got the government in power right now, and the government is able to do business. Okay, I agree with you there. They've done that in one
do
country.
you
I
know
agree.
what Kaiser is from character? Kaiser is that apostle Thomas who said, "No, Jesus cannot come back from the dead. He cannot come back from the dead."
Exactly.
And then Jesus showed up back from the dead, and he said, "Oh, I was wrong. I'm sorry, Jesus. I was wrong."
Doubted Thomas.
Hey, listen, I'm a
Can I
skeptic
say
till
something?
the end, man.
But I
Can I say
I
something?
like that mentality, Kaiser, because you gotta be a very, very critical thinker. But sometimes if you're too critical, you're
Yeah,
gonna
no, like Kaizo, you're good. Like, yeah, like expansionist is definitely 100%. Like both, like expansionist and Sandman, all you guys are right in different ways. Look, yes, we don't know what Russia's going to do, but I'm just going to say from Russian history or from what they've done in the past for other countries, they usually follow through with what they say they're going to do. They don't really have a long history of like backstabbing like a partner country, or like they don't have the same reputation the United States has for with their partners. You know what I'm saying? What's that saying that people have is like America is like a dangerous enemy but a worse friend or something like that. So like so yeah, so like I would have more faith in Russia following through with what they say. Now they never do anything for altruistic purposes. We know this. Like the Russians, and I think the Russians never even make a pretense to anything like that. They know they're gonna get something out of the deal too. So I don't know. Like I just, and it's not me being a pro Russia show, it's just me going
still
off of.
waiting for the North Korean Africa state. I say it will be Burkina Faso. We get all the news.
Do you think?
What
Okay, so let me get the question, right? So black people.
Kaiser, I was
Yeah,
gonna say one
what?
thing. Also,
Go
you
ahead.
have to you have to consider also the Africa Russia summit where they forgave billions on billions of debts from African countries, bro. Of course, there's a reason for that as well, but they're making
Yeah, so how
steps
come?
now. They're trying to,
Okay, so
yeah,
let me ask you a question, right? So
right,
they're forgiving debt, yeah, that's fine. But how come they're not
yes.
saying in the Russian summit? This is why I don't trust these people either. And also, just a slight correction to AFR, Russia is a bigger colonizer than America. Russia literally went and colonized all the
Yeah,
Trashkanistan
they
countries,
colonized Europe.
all
Yeah,
the
they colonized Europe. You're right.
Soviet Union,
Yeah, but
right? But
the
anyway,
difference
that's a
is they
separate.
have
Wait, one
history. So
second. Let me just finish that. Yeah, that you can go on.
Colonized Europe. Hold on. Colonized Europe. What do you mean colonized
Yeah,
Europe?
the lands
They
that they were
literally,
colonizing
yeah.
was in Europe.
No. Hold on. Are you talking
Also,
about the Berlin Wall?
listen.
Are you talking about the Iron
No,
Curtain?
no, no, no,
Is
no,
that
no. Don't
America?
forget that
Is
part.
that Canada? That's Europe. So you colonized Europe.
Oh,
These
you're
were
talking.
European lands.
They were the weakest colonizers out of the bunch, bro. What are you talking about?
Wait,
Whoa,
guys.
whoa.
We'll come back. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a second.
Yeah,
Let me
we'll
just
come back
finish
to
my point. Right?
that.
So,
What? Even in Africa, hold on, no, let's put this to bed right now. Out of all the countries that put their clutches during the race for
They
Africa or
colonized
whatever, the
China.
Berlin.
They
Hold
colonized
on,
China. They
hold on.
colonized
Stop
Japan.
talking. Let me finish.
They
Stop
call it.
talking
Go on,
over me, sir. Sir,
go on,
sir.
go
Let
on,
me
go on,
finish.
go
So
on.
you can talk.
Go on,
Look,
son.
just colonize China.
Russia. Out of all the countries that colonized Africa, Russia had one super small outpost that was unsuccessful, and that was like one attempt they ever did of colonizing any other place hardcore, like other European countries to the European standard. So that's kind of weird for you to say that. Like, yes, they tried to colonize parts in like
Okay, okay,
Alaska in like North America, but like that, come
okay,
on, man.
okay. Let me say something quickly. Yeah, my rebuttal would be to that. The Russians were great colonizers, bro. You do understand? Cool. Let's forget about Eastern Europe. They, you know, they colonized.
Can you give me an example, sir?
Those people, the Russians, they still till today, they have Japanese land, they have Chinese land, they have all of this bunch of lands that they took from these people, bro. Still today, it's part of the Russian Federation. So these people, they were, because you see Americas and all of these native.
That's called a land dispute, sir.
Big civilization like China, Japan, and colonizing them, bro. So
that's a land dispute, sir.
We confusing colonization with just conquest, flat out, because the
difference.
Exactly.
Like
Alaska. Like in Alaska, for example, the native are still the biggest population in Alaska. They never went over there. They just said, okay, you are now Russian, even you don't speak Russian.
What about outer Manchuria? I'm a snake man. You know, like Vladivostok. Those regions are very heavily Russian populated, bro. They, you know, it's a Chinese land. It was part of the Jing dynasty, but the last dynasty.
Now I get you that they've had wars of conquest, but what I'm trying to get across to you is if we're using the same standard, if we're using the same standard of colonization that we use for the British and the French and the Dutch and all of like what they did, if we're using that same standard for Russia, it's almost arguable. It's almost arguable to where they weren't colonizing.
No, you're right. When it comes to
they didn't colonize Africa, but they did colonize those trash Canistani countries.
They didn't,
because that's the only.
Guys, do you know what the difference is? Right? No. Do you know what the difference is? Those trash candy countries united in the Mongol Empire and colonized them for nearly 200, 300 years. So the difference between there's a difference between Russia and the rest of Europe. Russia does it out of reflex. Like if you hit me, I hit you back. Europe just does it because they can.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Difference.
Wait, hang on. So you guys,
after you're done, can I say something?
Yeah, let me just come for AFR quickly, right? AFR, here's the thing. You know why finally at least say China is doing well? China gives you the money. China builds the stuff for you, and they build it okay. They're not as good as Japanese or Germans, but they build it and it works. Russia just forgave a bunch of debt.
The same thing about Russia.
Russia just forgave a bunch of debt. Did Russia say, hey, guess what, Ethiopia, or guess what, Kenya, we're going to help you build your own fertilizer factory so that you can at least grow some food for yourself?
That's not Russia saying that. Russia saying is
so they want people to stand on their 2 feet or something. I don't know. I don't see what the problem is.
Russia wants us to be.
Don't listen to Kaiser's line.
No, wait. Let me finish.
Ethiopian was saying that Russia is helping Ethiopia to build an atomic power plant. Russia is saying
that's a lie. Where? Show me evidence.
But that's what the Russians saying. The Russians are not coming.
Yeah, it's a lie. It's a lie.
Hold on. I'm just saying that they're saying it. I'm not saying they're doing.
Okay, so let's look at the evidence. Yeah. Let's look at the evidence. If Russia is helping Uganda, that would make sense. Why? Because Uganda has actually put money aside, $2.3 billion towards that initiative. Ethiopia's just made one of the largest hydropower stations in Africa. They're not going to go into nuclear. They got no money for that.
Also, to add on to your point, Kaizo, Ethiopia has, Abiy Ahmed single-handedly crushed the economy during the war. I don't know what he was doing. He's even fighting the Amhara now. But Ethiopia is you get me? I don't think Russia is going to go forward with that because it's too hostile. It's too much of
what I'm saying is Kaiser makes a fuck.
And the economy.
The Russians never came in and said we give you fertilizer. In Russia, every country has different ways how to interact with other countries. Russia is trying to nuclearize Africa. They're saying it. That's why they always come in and say, "Did you want atom weapons? Do you want atom power plants?" I don't know what you can do with atom things.
You guys love talking about stuff that's
they have a history. No, Kaizo, he's right. They have a history about this. Even why do you think the time when we invaded Ethiopia, Somalia was among the top 3 most most powerful militaries in Africa? Is because of the Russians, bro. It was a Soviet ally. We got all our weapons from them. All the training, everything, was from them.
They were all over Africa. Yeah.
When it comes to military and those type of things that Snake Man's talking about, they do pull through. So they're known for that. That's their history. They know they.
Yeah, but you must understand, Kaiser's a technocrat. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it when an outsider.
Well, he's a Western technocrat. He's a Western technocrat.
You guys just literally are happy crumbs that you get from the new Dwight Master. Listen.
Oh my God.
No,
Kaiser, once again, at least it's edible. It's not shit. Get for 10
Oh my
years.
God. You see what I mean, right? This is the weakness of the white man. You see what happened in Palestine versus Israel, right? Those dusty Arabs, right? Tried to shoot
Snake man,
some
I
missiles
promise you,
into Israel.
yeah,
Hang on, hang on.
if it
Don't,
was
don't
Why
forget,
are
Israel,
there's
you
a
it would
point
be
bringing
a
here.
up
whole
There's a
different
point
way.
here.
Israel?
Wait,
Why
there's
are
a
you
point.
bringing
There's
up
a point to this,
Israel?
yeah? There's a
Because
point. There's a
he's
point,
a
right?
Western
Those
man. He
Arabs
makes Western
tried to
arguments.
shoot.
He moves the
Those
goalposts.
Arabs tried to shoot into Israeli supremacy, right? No, Israelis did. They had a dome
No, but
that
you
could
don't know. No.
intercept
That's how I know
90% of them.
you're uneducated on that, because Hamas is a Israeli funded organization that they put in
Oh my God.
power.
Yup,
Come on, Kaiser, you
yup,
should know
What?
this, man.
yup,
You should
No,
know
yup.
no,
this,
no.
He's right.
Kaiser,
He's right.
before you make quick statements. They're not for the Palestinians, Kaiser. But continue.
Let's keep it 100. Hamas is Iranian funded, and the
No.
Iranians get
It's
some money. Hold on,
Israeli
the
established.
Iranians. Yeah, I know. But the
Yes, they get
Iranians get
funding
some
from
money.
multiple sources.
Yeah, they get the most money from America, and these Americans who gives them some money are part of the Zionist group. So it's full
Yes, but
circle.
also, but
It's
yeah,
full
yeah, but
circle.
yeah, but also the Israeli government has funded them from time to time, and also Iran gives them illicit funding, and then they get funding from the
And
UAE, so
also who put them in
they get
power
sympathy bucks.
when Fatah was trying to get in power? Who put the Hamas in power? Who facilitated that? It was Israelis, so they can keep them in check. So
I know.
isn't it smart? Isn't it smart of them to launch missiles at their territory so they have the excuse to take more land?
Yeah, come on, like
It's basic
everybody
diplomacy.
knows. Yeah,
But
look,
it's
look,
basic diplomacy, bro.
Everybody knows they funded Hamas to go against the actual real Palestinian political will. So once they start organizing in a true, genuine way, then they put another more radical group up there. So they go peel off to them, and then they can bomb the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, or mostly the Gaza Strip. So like that's all it
Guys,
is. Like
that's
there's
Israeli land.
there's
That's
documentation of this.
You're
There's
talking about white
documentation of
affairs,
this.
aren't you?
Yeah, fact,
You're
that's
talking about
Israeli lands. Those Arabs try to take it. They're bad. They've been given so many solutions. They said
They're
no.
both bad.
Every
They're
time.
all bad. They're all bad. Listen,
No,
Kaiser.
listen.
no.
The only
Israel is
listen,
better.
hold on.
Hold on,
Kaiser,
Kaiser.
Kaiser.
Which
No, hold on. Let me say this real quick. Let me say this, Snake Man.
Israel side?
Snake Man, can I say this real quick? Hold on. I'll be real quick. Look, the reason why in the West we love Jews in Israel is because they provide things for
Thank you.
people.
AFR is
If
a
they
real
did
man.
not provide anything for anybody, if they weren't building hospitals, being scientists, and doing
Exactly.
all this stuff, people would not care to take their side. But since they produce and they do something for me and you, that's why, even though I don't like Zionism, of course they're going to take the land because they have the means to do it. So I'm sorry,
Cheers to that.
Palestinians.
Cheers
It is
to
what
that.
it is. So we're not. It's just we don't want to take a side. I don't want to take a side. Okay, let them do what they
For
want to do
me,
over there.
for
But
me, for me,
I'm not going to
for
take their
me, I
side
take a
just because
side.
they say they're a good guy.
My country, we don't even recognize Israel. I take a side, so I'm on the Palestinian side, mate.
Based,
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
mate. But
surprised.
Kaiser, because of Kaiser, how Kaiser is a troublemaker, mate. He's a fucking
Yeah,
trouble.
no,
He doesn't know about
no,
the thing that's going on.
Kaiser want to get that science internship in Tel Aviv. That's what he want to do.
Look, here's the issue with Africa, right? You see, you guys don't know how power works, right? African Union doesn't even acknowledge Israel, but they acknowledge a
Kaiser,
dusty
just accept
strip.
you're wrong. Just
How
accept
the
you're wrong,
hell?
Kaiser. Please,
How is
please, for
African
once,
Union
for
acknowledging
once.
Palestine, which doesn't exist, and doesn't
AFR
acknowledge
just
Israel?
told you how
It's dusty.
why Israel has the power. He just explained to you why Israel has the power, and they say, "Oh,
Exactly.
Africans don't know how power
Exactly. So
works."
The Africans
Kaiser is
don't know
hurt.
how
He's
power
hurt that
works, right? African
today we've
Union
intellectually
is
bullied
what?
him. Today he's been
African
intellectually
Union
bullied. He's hurt.
doesn't acknowledge
Hold
Israel,
on,
but
hold on.
acknowledges
Do you mean
Palestine. What the hell?
union? Hold on. Are you mean union of Afro Shabbat? Do you mean that where Israel is always somehow a part of it?
Yeah,
Means that
Israel. I want
Israel is actually
I want a new white daddy.
Israel is on the African continental plate. Okay, Palestine is not.
Look him. I can't really.
God, get out of here,
Oh,
man.
Kaiser.
The
Are you
only one, the
surprised,
only,
guys? Are
the
you not
only people.
He
surprised that
picks
Okay.
and chooses the white man he likes. He picks and chooses which white man
No.
would I want.
It's this
Which
Kenyan
white man am I
side.
going to booty clap for, bend down,
No,
do all that for.
This is Kenyan side. It's the same energy why they make Indians native tribe in Africa. I would not be surprised in 10 years if they make.
There's nothing wrong with
No,
Indians. They
Snake
add
man, don't
value to
worry.
the
Like I
Kenyan
said back in the
economy. Why
day,
do you guys hate Indians?
Snake,
Like
no, but
Indians are
Snake
good
man,
people.
back in the day, like I said,
Nobody
man,
hates Indians. The
2017,
Indians hate
Indians
us.
Somalis. We'll kick the Indians out like Idi Amin done in Uganda. Don't worry.
No. Indians are
Don't
good
worry.
people. They add value to the Kenyan economy.
Kaizo,
We
we are
don't.
now, but no, Kaizo, we
Yeah,
are
yeah,
the only
but they're a
tribe.
buffer
We are the only
class. I
tribe
mean,
in
let's be
Kenya
honest, they're a buffer
that compete
class.
with the Indians. Indians, they're finished, but they're almost done for. We're taking all of their
One thing
things, Kaizo,
I
man.
don't
You know this.
understand, Kaiser, that's Nigerian. Why is Indian specifically? No, why don't make the Italians a native tribe?
No, don't worry. Snake Man, we're the new Indians in Kenya. Kaizo knows this, so it's gonna be Africans soon. Don't worry.
Okay,
Don't
so
worry.
hang on. Let me explain, Snake Man. There's actually logic to this, right? Italians don't get involved in local Kenyan businesses. They live in Malindi. They're more there just having fun, right? They don't add value to the economy of Kenya. With Indian population, they do add value, right? They own businesses, they export products, and they add to the Kenya's GDP. So what that means is, for you to be a native tribe, there's certain perks you can have. You can own land, for example, and then you can own businesses outright. If you're not a tribe, it's very difficult to do this in Kenya. That's why when they lobbied the government allowed them to be. They've been there for 200 years. You guys are just a bunch of blacks who are weak and don't
200
add value
years?
to anything.
You're talking.
Hold
You're
on.
talking.
So
200 years, nigga?
Snake Man, this
You
is a Kenya beef. This
lying.
is a Kenya beef. One second. This
No,
is
not all of them.
I
Obviously, a
know.
lot of them came in the
No, Kaizo,
1900s.
I'm going to
But
destroy your point first of all. The Indians there. What's it called? Mate, I fucking had a brain fart. What was I gonna say? Mate.
You mean the imported people that the British people imported in there? Those people?
okay, so let me give you the context. Well, hang on. You guys need to know the history first, right? What happened is the British tried to use the native Kenyans to build the railways. But what used to happen is the Kambas, right? That's where the railway goes across. These are merchants. They used to do business with the Somalis, the Portuguese, and the English, right? They used to steal the railway tracks. So the Africans were the issue. They used to go steal the products. They used to go and fight back against the British.
It's
So the British,
always the niggas, Kazo. Always the niggas.
the British East India Company was far longer colonized. The Indians were colonized much longer, so they were easy and more obedient. That's why they came to Kenya, because the Africans used to steal and prevent growth, just like today. Just like today, the Africans prevented development.
No.
So the Indians came and did their
You're
job.
speaking.
Damn, that sucks. That sucks. They didn't stay there and get their back broken making railways.
But AFR, he's speaking about the Kenyan Bantus. They're known to not be business people, Kaizo. You know what I mean? So, for example, the Indians, that's what they're known for. They're business people. The only indigenous tribe that are par with the Indians when it comes to business, that will set up shop in every department, every sector, is the Somalis. So Kaizo, step by step, day by day, we're taking them out of their
This is
jobs.
cap. This is cap.
No, Kaizo, you know
Business
this. What's the
tribe-
second after the Indians? What's the second richest tribe, or the second when it comes
the
to
second
economy?
richest tribe is obviously Kikuyus, man. They're the
No,
second
economy
richest.
wise, no. Kikuyus have been. We were taking all their spots in Nairobi, Kaizo. Let's be real.
In fact, I'll show you. Look.
Go on, bring up the
No,
list,
it's
bring up the
international.
list.
You're
I want a
Nigerian, right?
2023.
Hold on, Kaiser. When do you
Hang on.
mix
The
British?
richest tribe
Hold
in
on.
terms of business. Hang on. The richest tribes in terms of business in Kenya, you have the Kisis. They operate in Kenya. You got the Kikuyus. You do have Somalis and you have Indians. Those are the main business tribes. Yes, the other tribes are more intellectual, like Luos and Rias.
How comes 40% of Nairobi's economy comes from East Lee, a Somali town?
No, that's not true, expansionist, man.
That
It's
is true,
25%.
that's
How are you
fact.
getting 40%?
It's not 25%. It's not 25. It's definitely not.
Can you explain with that logic? Why didn't you make the English a native tribe of Kenya?
The English, okay, you guys are not listening. English people, right? Okay, first of all, English people are not, okay. Oh, why are they a native tribe? Okay.
I wish Idi Amin and I wish that Britain never cut off Uganda from Kenya.
Because we're not racist, right?
East India Company.
Kenya,
Idi Amin would
South
have kicked these people out.
Hang on. Kenya, South Africa, we are forward. We're not out here doing basic racial politics.
Are you sure?
South Africans aren't racist?
No, we're saying we accept everybody because it benefits our country's economy. Like Nigeria ain't got no electricity. If you guys made an Indian tribe or whatever, Lebanese tribe, maybe you have electricity.
Hold on,
no, you don't. Stop the cap.
Yeah,
by this rate, India is going to annex Kenya.
How do you think we can?
They have generator electricity.
No. How do you think we can sell electricity to our neighboring countries?
Wait. Kazo, did Kazo say that English is a tribe in Kenya? Don't wait. Kazo, English tribe in Kenya. Be honest.
Yes. There's the English Ulster tribe.
Kaizo,
You
Kaizo,
see,
what,
These
what are
are
you
not
guys doing?
racist
What's
this
in
Kenya?
money
What's
Kenya.
Kenya
business.
up to?
People need to understand money properly. They don't really think deeply about
The
money and
English
currency.
add value to the Kenyan economy, right? That's the thing. We are all about money.
And now
Right?
you
That's the
wonder
thing.
why I say. Now you wonder why I say Kenya is the Switzerland of Africa. Bent over for everyone who has a little bit of
The
change.
African is about money, but the world is not. Is about race.
No, you
They're not
guys
playing the long
listen.
game. Kenya's not playing the long game at
Okay.
all right now.
No, actually,
Which
that's
country?
not true.
Okay. Let me give you an example, right? Do you know why
No,
Kenya
not
never
you.
got
Not
crazy?
oh, no. I was saying IC3 talking about it's about race.
FI. Do you know why Kenya never got crazy sanctions after Dwight Man left? It's because we didn't steal Dwight Man's land back. We told Dwight Man, listen, you got 100 years since 1963 to own the land. After 63,
We
guess
get
what?
it. We
The
get
land's
it.
going to go back to the government.
Kenya is good as dick sucking. We get it. We get it.
No.
After the white man is
Well,
gone, you go to the Somalis and suck their dick for 100. We get it.
No.
Guys. We get it.
There's no. First of all, Somali is one of the tribes of Kenya, so that's a separate issue there, right? We're not going to them; they're coming into Kenya, and that's
No.
look,
We've been there. We've been there. You get me? The
right.
British, they gave you our land, so you should be happy that we NFT is
It was
especially the
never your
biggest
land. There
livestock
was no
market in
country called
Africa.
Somalia, expansionist. You guys are
No,
the
but
biggest coast.
it's Somaliland.
There was no
It's
country
Somaliland.
called Somalia.
Now
Yes.
there's a country called their tribe. They have a country named after their tribe, so they all want to join. But you guys are not letting them join.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Uganda, right? Uganda was named after the Baganda kingdom. Are they going to
Ugandans
be like,
are
oh
not.
yeah,
They're not the biggest tribe. They're not like everyone. Every tribe in Somalia is part of the same. The Somali.
This is just
Somali
cold,
tribe,
man. Cold.
except for the
Plus,
Bantus. You know about this, guys, and they're
if
hammers
you
on those
ask
people.
Yeah, right. But if you ask a Somali in Kenya, would you rather be part of Somalia or Kenya? Do you know what they'll say? They'll say Kenya. That's the
Prove
truth.
it, Kaiser.
That
Prove
depends.
it.
That depends.
Pull
that
up the
depends
video.
on
Pull up
who
the
you're speaking
receipts.
to.
Pull up the
Say that again.
receipts.
Pull up the
That
receipts.
depends
I
on
don't.
who you're
I
speaking
don't
to.
do
If you're
that. We
speaking
all know this.
What poll did you get this off of, Kaizo?
Exactly,
The
Kaizo.
poll is
Today we have to
called
question.
2 million
Today
Somalis
your
came into
credibility
Kenya in
is
the
in
last
question.
5 years.
No, Kaizo.
No, it's
I
called
will not-
Paul.
Kaizo,
It's
your
a Paul.
credibility is in
You
question
guys are
today.
insane.
No. So
Yeah.
Paul is called Brain Rot 25.
Oh my
Kaiser English.
goodness. Bro. Listen, 2 million Somalis came into Kenya in the last 5 years. That's what the poll is. How many Somalis are going
2
to Somalia?
That's
billion.
a lie. That's a
Zero.
lie. That's a lie, Kaizo.
Zero. Yes, 2 million.
2 million were born. They were born, Kaizo. Not they came migrated. They were born. Stop lying,
They
Kaizo.
came through the
please.
borders, man, and then paid off the border
They never.
control to allow them
Where
in.
are they going to? They're going to their land, bro. The people, they're going to their land. They're not going to no other country. They're going to their land, bro. They're meeting
Yeah,
their
y'all better
country.
get y'all
You
immigration
know
shit
crazy,
right,
right?
Kaizo,
Hang
for
on.
Somaliland over there.
No,
Yeah,
but
do you know how crazy it is? Like,
AFR, let's be real,
I
yeah?
live in Masai.
No,
I live in
no.
Masai land right now. I moved out of Nairobi, right? I live in Masai land, right? I live in
Right.
Kajiado. There's still dusty Somalis here. Like my neighbors are
Yeah,
everywhere.
we use them to herd our cattle. We pay them £5 a day. They will herd the cattle for you, but they have no, they're
Oh,
business
bro,
people.
I'm paying. Do you know how cheap meat is over here, man? It's like half the
You're
price.
killing me right now.
I'm paying like $2.50 for a kilogram of beef.
No.
Right
I
now.
got
This is good.
an uncle. He hires Maasai as herders. They're good for that.
Yeah. That's true.
They will herd
They're
your
good at
thing for
herding.
you.
Yeah.
And then
You're right.
you sell it off. But that's the reason why the Somalis are there. But coming to the other point, Kaizo, it's you guys' fault. When in the 60s, the British done a referendum on whether the NFT, that region, should join Somalia, and everyone, 99% said yes.
Yeah, at
And the
that
British
time.
said no, we're still no. Let's be real. The British said no, we're still going to give it to Kenya. And then in the 60s, that's when we cut off ties with Britain because of that. Because we were already
Yeah,
recognized
but
when you guys were a
expansionist.
colony. No, but one second.
You're right.
we
You're
was
right.
recognized when you guys were a colony. So those people there don't want
I
to be a part
googled
of
it. I googled
So-
it. It's not 2 million. It's 80,000 in the last 2 years.
80,000 Kaizo. Look, man, you're lying. You're lying, Kaizo.
It's
These
2 million.
scientists, these
Come on, guys.
technocrats, see
You're
Snake Man.
undocumented.
Technocrats lie like a motherfucker, bro.
Technocrats are
Nah.
dangerous people.
They are
very
undocumented. I
dangerous.
promise you, there's a lot more Somalis who came in than 80,000.
No.
A lot
That's
of them-
because you're fear mongering. You're fear mongering. You see our power. You see how we're taking over the Indians. We compete with the Indians, no African tribe. Then you're scared
Right
of that,
now,
Kaizo.
the new number, there's 3 million Somalis in Kenya, right?
Kaizo,
They only been there for the last 5 years. There was no
See
Somalis.
that? Okay, so you want to take my land, but you don't want to recognize my people. Okay, that makes sense. That's why
No,
you have to cut off.
expansionist. When they
No,
take
that's
over, just makes Rwanda not a native tribe, and makes Italians a native tribe and gives them Rwanda land.
no.
Oh yeah.
What I'm gonna do, Wangaland is going to be
Bro,
named
bro, bro.
What do
Italian
Wangas
Republic
do
of
anyway?
Israelis tried to take Wangaland. They failed. Do you think the Somalis are going to take it?
Oh, hold on, Israelis?
They tried to take what he. Okay, you guys tell this story.
Wait. I need
You
to
guys
hear
tell
the
this story.
story. I need to hear the story.
Oh, no,
Kaizo, the Israelis tried to take Wangaland. Explain to us.
Yeah. It's actually yeah. Wangaland. Okay, so all the way from Western Kenya, that includes Lowland and Nyanza province, all of that. That was the original Israel, actually, before they gave it.
That was
So you talking about when the Nazis wanted to relocate people?
Yes, that was
1903. Hang on, 1903 in the
After the
sixth
Balfour Declaration,
Zionist
you're
Congress.
right.
I'll show you receipts, right? In the Zionist Sixth Congress, right? They tried to give the Wangaland to the Israelis. We did not allow it to happen. That's what I'm trying to say. So you think the Somalis are going to take it?
I thought it was Madagascar.
Kaizo, by 2070. Wait, 1 second. IC3 by 2070. Even now, it's even coming way earlier because we're having a lot of kids, Kaizo. So by 2070, we're going to be the biggest tribe. So once that happens, you guys should let us take our land so we can leave.
Bro,
now, I mean, so if you don't want that, it's going to be expansion, Kaizo. It's going to be an expansion. I'm gonna be honest.
Expansionist. I got no issue, Somalis, man. You know what that's me? It's just more concubines for me. That's good. I'm happy. Bring all the Halimos, right? They're mine, right?
It's good. It's good. We need to spread our gene. We need to spread the noble Somali gene to the whole of Africa.
Of course, that's my culture, Snake Man.
Really?
Kaizo, you're a runaway. But Snake Man, let me tell you about Kaizo. Kaizo's a runaway Somali. He's a Gabra. Gabras are known. They ran away from the war when we had the war between the Adal, the Ethiopians. So we had the war with the Ethiopians back in the 15th century, and they ran away. The Gabra, they ran away to Kenya, and they started living with the Samburis, living a docile life. So when they met us again, they realized, oh shit, it's the people we ran away from. So Kaizo, we know these people. They're runners, and they were always, docile way of life.
Guys, protect yourself.
You have to look into the tribes. When you guys know about the tribes, if you know about the tribes and the tribal history, you know about everything.
No, he's he right. So then what happened is then they became Boranas. They joined the Samburu Borana culture. He's right.
But why did you guys run from that war, Kaizo? That war was everyone. You get me. Even my tribe, my subclan, they made a hand. We was the generals in that war, Kaizo. Why did you guys run, man? Why?
Yeah.
Should have stayed.
It is what it is, man. But yeah,
were you fighting Muslims?
It was the 15th century, 1540. There was a war between the Somalis and the Ethiopians. The Somalis included because the Oromos, they were still in Kenya. They never came to the Horn yet. So you know what I mean. So Kaizo, his people went there.
Shit.
They integrated the Oromos. Yeah.
I'd be scared to fight Somalis too. I'd run too.
Nah, even the Ethiopians, the Ethiopians had to call the Portuguese, and we had to call the Ottomans, But Kaizo's people, they ran away. They should have stayed.
No, it's okay, Kaizo. I don't expect when the big Thunder Dome in Africa happens. I think Kenya is good. No one really cares about Kenya because it's not a threat. Apropos not a threat, you think Kenya managed to colonize Haiti?
Oh
okay,
yeah,
so
big up.
Oh, that'd be hilarious to see that one.
I'm gonna do that. Oh yeah, Kenyan troops are in Haiti right now. By the way, I'm gonna do the show tomorrow.
So are Haitians now a Kenyan native tribe too? After you colonized them,
bro, of course. Yeah, listen, Kenya. You guys don't get it right. Remember the BRICS discussion? I told you Kenya, we're pro white supremacy, right? We're with America. Why? Because you dusty Africans love to choose the losers. Oh, Russia, why are you choosing the loser Dwight, man?
So Russia's losing right now. So Russia's losing right now.
That's a bold.
Russia. I'm not gonna hold on, Kaizo. I'm not gonna say Russia. I'm not gonna say Russia's gonna come out on the other side unscathed. But a lot of indications compared to like what people, the experts, the technocrats were saying Russia was gonna be, or their economy's gonna collapse. The military's
Exactly.
gonna collapse, and they're chugging
Well,
along.
forget about that. That's separate, man. I don't know about Dwight Mann's analysis. All I'm gonna say is Russia's a third world country. Russia's a third world country. That's all I'm gonna say. And I leave it
Man,
there.
I'm still waiting for the
No way.
technocrat to be right about China.
Oh my god, I love you, Kaizo. Kaizo
Kaiser,
gets funny when he
technocrat.
gets back
Yeah.
in the corner. You notice that when he gets back in the corner, he just gets
Oh,
funnier and funnier.
Yeah.
Kaiser's a legend still, I swear. Oh man, I'm dead.
Oh my god.
For all my
But
Haitian brothers out there, after you kicked out the tyrannical rule of the Kenyans, invade Kenya for us.
Yes, please,
Dude, can
please,
you give
we'll
me?
help you.
Didn't the Supreme
We'll help
Court say
you.
they can't go? Didn't the Supreme Court say they couldn't go?
no, but they're already boots on the ground right now. There's a few soldiers
What
already
the fuck?
arrived.
So just the Supreme Court just don't matter no more.
No. Do Kenya really have a military? Seriously, I didn't know that Kenya has a military. I thought they had
Really?
just
We
some
have enemies
militias
all around. We've
on
got
the border.
Uganda, we've got Somalia. Why would we not have a military?
No, I thought you had some border militias. That was all.
No. Okay, so basically, Kenya's got what we call KDF, Kenyan Defense Force, right? They do have good they have good training and they got good machines and stuff. They don't have a lot of people, only 25,000, but they do spend quite a lot of money every year.
Oh,
And you guys
no,
are laughing,
25,000.
but
Kaiser, that's
yeah, we
poor,
got
man.
25,000.
Poor. That's
Yeah.
poor, man.
And before,
That's
you know,
pathetic.
hey, Kenya is safe. So you guys, you see what I've been saying? You guys are too low
I mean, no, I'm
IQ.
just saying they need a bigger military.
No,
Exactly.
come on.
You don't have a big,
Military is
you don't have a big
expensive.
military, and you're sending
For
troops
what?
10,000,
Military is
2,000 to Kenya.
Nigga, you next to Somalia. What are you talking about? Why you need a big
No
military?
wonder
No,
the
but
Somalis can come in and out.
The
No wonder.
Kenyans are smart. They're smart. They use the Somalis to patrol the borders. They don't need Kenyans because it will be a war. So these
Oh,
are own
they
people.
pay mercenaries?
They pay our own people to secure the border.
Golly, Kenya. It'd be cheaper if you just did it yourself, right? With your own military,
because
like their job.
no, the tribal we are very tribal. If we see a person that's not of the tribe in our areas, especially in those rural parts of the borders, it's very
True.
it's a bit dangerous.
I love Kenya and I respect their military, but I'm really afraid that they really don't have a lot of experience fighting wars or in combined arms combat. So like I'm very concerned if they actually had to fight a determined enemy, what would happen? Because I just think their lack of experience would hurt them.
Now you
No,
You see,
100%.
it's our lack of. You see,
100%.
our military is so good. That's why we don't have experience.
Kaizo, why
No,
do you say
that's
such
because
crazy shit?
no one has come for him. That's why no one has really come for him.
Yeah,
They've had
because
a
no
few
one sees
skirmishes.
Kenya as a threat. What do you
No,
see?
they've
A
had
baby
they've had a
puppy.
few skirmishes with Al Shabaab, but that and they put all over the news and everything. But that's the most they've ever done. You know what I mean? So
Nah,
they're
Kenya
not
is
battle
like
tested.
Kenya is like a donkey. It's like a donkey. It's very good.
Yes, you're right. It's like a donkey.
But no one sees a donkey as a threat.
Okay, exactly. They're just looking at a donkey, just doing his noises and that, and I think, yeah, let me just walk on. You're right. That's
I'm
why
sorry,
Al Shabaab.
make it more
That's even why,
African.
Snake Man. That's
Make
why
more
Al Shabaab.
African.
That's why
Yeah.
Al Shabaab attacked Ethiopia more than Kenya because they probably see Kenya as docile. They think they don't need to really invade the area.
No,
You know what I
it's
mean?
the thing.
They need a place to go on vacation after their terrorist activities.
No. You must understand. It's called reallocations. And no, it's a hit. It's a get rid of the heavy hitters. Kenya will fold in 3 days.
Yeah.
Any Islamic terrorist group
100%.
with full
100%.
force, with full backing of America, will fold Kenya
Yeah.
in 3 days.
I swear to God, you're right. But that's why even like the only people that could even the Uganda all the AMISOM soldiers in Somalia fighting Al Shabaab, they get ambushed and they get killed a lot of times, bro, just for they're not battle tested. And the people that take out that have been taking out the Al Shabaab recently, especially now, we took a lot of towns. Like they probably have like 1-2 towns left, and those people are called the Ma'awish Lake. They mean the people that are the local people. You know what I mean? So you gotta have heart. You got to be battle tested to go against these people.
Now,
If you
look,
don't
look,
have
you
no
guys,
training,
okay, so,
tested.
well,
if you
hang on,
have
hang
no
on. Why you
training,
guys,
if you're not battle
you guys
tested,
are talking,
you'll lose.
talking
You'll
nonsense
lose.
here. Kenyan military is in Somalia, it's in Congo, it's in Sudan, it's all over the place.
Doing what? You're all you're doing. You're patrolled outside the white man's bases where they dig their things and their the mines or whatever. That's what you're doing.
Okay,
You're not
okay.
really
Good.
trying
No.
anything else.
We must give.
I mean,
We
that's
must
the
give
truth. That's the
Kenya.
truth. Because that's the
No,
truth.
no.
Because look, Kenya is not going to go outside of their quote unquote green zone or the capital place where they're based out of. They're not going to go out and have any offensive operations where it's going to
Exactly.
have an effect. They're going to go out there, hand out water bottles and book bags to kids, take pictures, and they're going to go home.
American
Exactly.
rifleman. A soldier without metal is still a soldier. He just didn't do shit. That's the difference.
Nah, Kenyans, they're not battle
True.